Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 125. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight, Ben Boyce, Bender Holt, Frankie Ayler has the night off, so it's just us three. We're going to guide you through this wonderful show. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Good, man.
Awesome. Another week behind us, another week closer to Destiny 2 and the fall rush of games. Man, I was just sitting there thinking about the other day. I absolutely love fall. You know, especially, I mean, for a multitude of reasons. First of all, Michigan is beautiful in the fall. Michigan is a beautiful state in the fall. The fall rush of games, all the biggest titles come out. That's super exciting. We got football. We got Destiny 2. I'm going to put Destiny 2 in its own category, but I love the fall rush. And, dude, we're a month away from where it all kicks off. Probably even a little bit less. I mean, August is kind of shaping up to be kind of like a fall rush. But I don't know, man. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to feel it. Are you guys feeling it yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so. All the games start coming out next month. Man, lots and lots of games.
A lot of games, a ton of games. Let's talk about what we've been playing this week. I mean, we got a lot of a big new release list, but let's touch on some of the stuff that we played first week. Boyce, you actually fired up a pair of beautiful looking games this week. First on Tuesday for the Indie Spotlight, you played Pyre. And then Thursday night, we fired up Sundered from Thunder Lotus. Let's get your thoughts on both those titles, buddy.
Yeah, let's start with Pyre. So Pyre, obviously the new game from Supergiant, and you know we saw the trailers, we saw the previews for it. Always a beautiful looking title in motion, and I can confirm that it plays that way as well when you get in there and get your hands on the controller. So just an awesome looking title. It's got this, you know, Supergiant just has a way about them with their games and the way that they're able to kind of capture this feel or this. Just their style of animation and the way that they draw their characters. It almost has like a Disney sort of flavor to it, you know. Mm-hmm. They've got this group of characters in Pyre who, you know, are all distinct, have these different personalities, but it's just this really animated, like angular style that they draw the characters in, super clean lines. The animation is awesome in that game, so I really, really like the way that Pyre looks just from a visual perspective. And one of the things that Supergiant has hammered home, especially in this last week leading up to the release of Pyre, is the fact that, you know, this is first and foremost a single-player, party-based RPG game. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of the stuff that we saw, a lot of the coverage we saw prior to the game's release were things focused on the combat aspect of the game and, in some respects, the multiplayer aspect of that combat. But, you know, they've kind of stated that, hey, you know, we made a combat system that we thought was fun. We thought we'd throw in a little local co-op multiplayer for you guys, but you know, the star of the show is the story. It is the main campaign that you're going to go through here. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we got to jump in there, played it for about an hour or so just to get our feet wet with the story. It's a very interesting story going on here about this kind of this purgatory-esque kind of world where everybody's kind of competing in this mystical competition to try and work their way out of purgatory. So you actually play this sort of omniscient narrator character who they refer to as the Reader. It's possible you may be able to go by a different moniker, but that was the one that I chose over the course of the dialogue. So that's another interesting aspect of the game is the branching dialogue paths. Mm-hmm. Not sure how much that affects the story or whatnot. There's also different paths you can choose as you're moving along on your journey. So at one point you come to a fork in the road and they're like, you know, you can go this way and then this will happen and you'll have this reward, or you can go this other way and then you've got these obstacles, but you have this reward at the end. So there's some different choices like that factor into the way the game plays out as well. And I know one of the choices I made earlier on, one of the characters didn't like that. So,
yeah.
So, you know, I chose at one point you get more than 3 people in your party.
Right.
And you can only bring 3 people into combat at a time. So that means you have to leave somebody out of the party for that battle. And when I did that person was not happy. So I'm curious if that kind of factors into things down the line, if relationships change or whatnot. So I'm not sure how your decisions affect the game, but Pyre is really cool so far. Love the narrator in the game. Not myself, but there's this guy that narrates like the combat segments. That's really cool. Music's awesome. The combat system is really fun. So it's a It's almost like a mystical version of like a sporting event or like a handball or something like that. You've got this orb, and you've got teams of 3 on each side, and your goal is to try and get the orb into the goal or into the other person's pyre. You have to light that up a number of times in order to win the match. Then when you win the match, you have to win. Once you win that, you move on to the next part of the journey or whatever.
Mhm.
So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with the story or where it's going from here, but I like the character so far. I like the combat system, love the look of the game, love the soundtrack. So overall, it's a really cool game so far, and it's one that I really want to get into and play through to completion, because from what I've read about the game, it's spectacular. Many people calling it one of the best games of the year.
Mhm.
That kind of praise is being levied on this game, and from my brief time I spent with it, I don't see that that's going to be something that this game can't be.
Mhm.
So seems like a really cool game so far. Then from there we went into Sundered on Friday, or actually Thursday. Sorry.
Mhm.
So Sundered was it came out this Friday. We fired it up Thursday night, kind of like a preview stream that we had. Thunder Lotus graciously gave us a code to stream the game, so we were able to get in there, fire it up. I'll be reviewing the game for the site as well.
Mhm.
And Brent, I don't know that there's a more beautiful game on the PlayStation 4 this year that we're gonna play than Sundered. It's not that it can go toe to toe with something like Horizon,
Mhm.
but just the style of this game, the quality of the animation is really just unmatched in
Mhm.
gaming. Just the hand drawn art style is just it has this clean lines, and the way the characters animate, it's literally like watching a cartoon in motion. It's
Mhm.
really 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 beautiful. Everything from the combat to the way your character moves to the boss enemies, and any and everything in the game just animates really really cool. So it's just an exceedingly beautiful game. So that's the thing that draws you in with Sundered, and this is a very different game from Jotun.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is Thunder Lotus, the second game. Huge fan of Jotun, really enjoyed that one. Reviewed that one for the site last year. Was really looking forward to Sundered, and like I said, this is a different. If you're going to this game expecting Jotun, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. This is a much different game.
Yeah,
This
it is.
is It's a Metroidvania game at its heart. It's that style of game, but it's also got a lot in common with something like Dark Souls.
Mhm.
So the way the combat works, the dodging mechanics, the way you have to kind of learn your enemies' patterns and know when to dodge and how to strike when they have an opening or when they have a weakness. It's very Dark Souls in that respect. You have your elixirs that you carry around with you as well, so you're constantly popping your health elixirs just like you do in Dark Souls or just like you do in Bloodborne to kind of keep yourself afloat. The levels are procedurally generated to an extent, so there's certain like I don't know what you would like to call them, but I don't know, certain points across the map that these are like inflection points across the map, like big areas that you get into that either have a shrine or a boss or some major event happened in that room. Those kind of stay locked in onto the map, but the
Mhm.
areas around those change. So it's an interesting mechanic. Me and you were talking about that. We're not entirely sure that that's necessary, or wondered what the game would be like if it was just designed a certain way and that was the way it was. So beautiful game in motion, combat very challenging, but also fun and rewarding. I think once you start to wrap your head around it
Mhm.
with some of the different maneuvers that are at your disposal. I haven't fully wrapped my head around the combat yet, and something I'm not 100% sold on yet is the way that the combat scenarios play out. I haven't spent enough time with the game yet to really think one way or another how I feel about it, but this is not a game where you go from room to room in typical Metroidvania fashion. You're fighting enemies, you clear out that room, you move on to the next room, you're filling out the map, so on and so forth. In Sundered, there are certain points on the map that have enemy encounters, and they all come at you at once. So you go into a room, and if there's an enemy encounter, like you're gonna fight like 20, 30 guys, sometimes all at once,
Mhm.
and they're all coming at you, and you have to dodge. You have to use the maneuvers that are at your disposal. You have to use your upgrades and things that you earn on your character. And these fights can get tough, especially as you move through this map and you start unlocking things like the snipers. Like when those guys are on the map, they make your life a living hell. So there's different enemy types that get onto the map. Those meteoroids that fly around, those are annoying as hell as well. So I'm not entirely sold on the let's fight a mob all at once and then do a little exploring, then fight a mob. Um, way that the system is set up. But like I said, I haven't played enough of the game to know one way or another how I feel about it. Many of the reviews have talked about the technical issues with the game. Those showed up during my playthrough. There's two really nasty things that this game has to deal with. First and foremost, there's this very strange hitch that happens randomly as you're playing through the game. So you're just playing, and this is not like you skipped a frame or something like that. This is like the game will pause for 1 or 2 seconds, and then it'll pick back up, and you're like, what is going on here? And doesn't seem to be caused by any number of enemies on the screen. Like, I could be in one of the combat encounters, have tons of enemies on the screen, everything's fine, and then I'm moving into another area, and then it just hitches up for some reason. So there's no rhyme or reason to the hitch. So hopefully they can get in there and figure out what causes that and get that to stop, because that's really annoying. And secondly is the crashing. So we had a crash during our stream. So right in the middle of the game, I actually got my ass kicked, just handed to me in this room that I was in, and then the game just crashed and the stream shut off. So as we were streaming, people were like, "Man, this guy was pissed. He just up and left after that." So yeah, it looked like I just rage quit the game, but in fact the game crashed, and this is a recurring issue in everybody that's played the game. So there's some crashing problems. There's when the game initially boots up, there's this really long load as it loads up the levels. But after that, you don't really load. After that, it just kind of goes through the paces. So not as big of an issue. I mean, it would have been nice if there weren't any long loads, but I can kind of deal with that initial load. I think I can get used to that.
And I think that initial load is the procedurally generated portion working itself up, because it takes time for that to create the level or the areas that are new, and then by the time you die, then you come back to it, and then it loads quicker. It's because it's already been predetermined what that's going to look like for this particular playthrough. Yeah. But yeah, I would definitely say that long load is probably the procedurally generated portion kicking in.
Yeah, I would say you're probably right. And I also wonder if that hitch has something to do with that as well. Like, I wonder if the game in the background is loading things up or kind of conjuring up the game as you're playing along. And maybe that's where that hitch is coming from. Maybe there's other things loading in the background in this procedural world that I wonder if maybe, that could be a cause of it. I'm not a developer. I have no idea. This is just me spitballing. So don't take that as fact or anything. But I wondered that as well. So, yeah. So they've got to get that hitch. They've got to get the crashing under control. Like, that's the kind of stuff that really annoys you as a gamer, because it's such a beautiful game, man. It's so beautiful in motion, and to see these little things crop up that can hinder the experience is really, really disappointing. But overall, man, it's a cool game so far. Like I said, I have a lot to go. I'm going to be playing it through this weekend, through the beginning of next week. Hopefully I'll have my full written review up on the site next week as I sit down and kind of really explore all the aspects of Sundered. The skill tree in that game is awesome. Just a massive, sprawling tree with all of these things that you can add to your character. And that's another thing. This game has roguelike elements as well. So when you die, you go back to the beginning, the world kind of reorganizes itself. Those inflection points are still on the map. But then you get to visit the skill tree, and you get to upgrade your character, a la something like Rogue Legacy, which was a mechanic I really liked in that game. How even though you died and you went back to the quote-unquote the beginning, you still had, you still felt like you were progressing. You still felt like you were building up your character and getting some new moves. And I was actually looking forward to dying. I was like, man, I can't wait to get back to the skill tree and build my character up. So that's cool. So there's some good things about this game. There's some things I'm not sure about, and there's some bad things. And we're gonna have to see how this all plays out. But a very interesting game in Sundered so far. Brent, I know you spent a little bit of time with it. I think we're kind of on the same page with this one, though.
Yeah, I mean, I like the combat. I think it's actually really, really fun, especially when you do get attacked by one of these hordes. And when you see some of the trailers, when you see some of the gameplay, like you see the player going through what makes our initial encounters with the hordes seem like just little battles, because it gets really, like in the trailers, you see some heavy hordes attacking the character, and that's where I think you'll get an idea of like just how beneficial this skill tree is. I mean, there's like you said, there is a lot to this skill tree. I was going through the whole thing, my first playthrough, going through a couple times and just seeing all the different things you can do to improve your character. And that stuff is going to be useful. I would almost say the game is almost like maybe too hard early on, because, if you run into that, especially when you hit that first area, A2, I think it was, where you have to take on the hunters and everybody in there, it can get pretty hectic. it can get pretty chaotic. So, like you mentioned, this isn't like Jotun. This game is going to kick you in the face early and often, but just stick with it. And we talk about the technical issues. It's so strange because when we got the code from Thunder Lotus, they were like, "Hey, look, there's going to be a patch coming out prior to release that will address some of these technical issues that we're aware of." And so, as we're waiting for the code, as we waited for Thursday night to come around, a couple of reviews came out Thursday morning, and they were talking about the technical issues. And I was like, "Oh, well, we haven't gotten the patch yet. Maybe that'll alleviate those." And before the stream, you had mentioned that a patch had rolled out. And this game is 5 gigs. The patch that came out was 2.7 gigs. And you and I were like, there's no way that this doesn't address some of these issues that these reviewers were talking about. I was like, there's no way, they got to be cleaning this up. But lo and behold, here we are. We still have the hitch that a lot of them talked about. We have some crashing like a lot of them talked about. So my question is, what did the 2.7 gig update do? Like, how bad was this game? But, I mean, that makes me wonder because the reviews that came out prior to the patch were decent reviews, 8s and 7s. And if you bring a 2.7 gigabyte patch out to fix issues, I would expect this game to be a train wreck prior to the patch. Yeah. But obviously it wasn't that wasn't the case. But then we get this patch and it seems like some of these issues are all still there. So I'm kind of curious to what this patch really did.
Yeah, when you look in the patch notes on the PS4, they only mention minor bug fixes. So I would imagine that the hitch, the crashing, that's a pretty major issue. So I don't think that falls under the umbrella of minor bug fixes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I wonder if maybe it's just a bunch of little stuff. And there were some other notes in there that I forgot exactly what it said, but I was looking for the bugs that may have been fixed when I was reading through the patch notes, and it only said minor bug fixes. So you have to assume they're still in the lab working on kind of fixing these issues, and hopefully sooner rather than later they're able to get that out, and hopefully it's something they can fix because it's too beautiful of a game to not function the way it to not function perfectly.
Right. Bender, now, did you catch either of these streams or any of these games stand out to you? I mean, if I had to bet, I would say these are both Bender joints. These would be games that Bender you would be really into. Did you check out these streams? Any interest in either of these games right now?
I'm interested in both of them. I only got to see the Sundered stream though. Didn't get to see the Pyre one. I'll have to go back and watch that one. But yeah, I like the look of the games. They seem pretty cool. As I mentioned before, I got to play a short demo of Sundered at PAX South, and I liked what I played of it. So it's definitely something I'm going to want to jump into at some point. Hopefully they do get the crashing and stuff fixed in that game. And Pyre, I'm less sure about, but I still definitely want to check it out. I'll have to go back and watch Ben's stream again and just see what it's all about, because I still don't know what to think about that game. just from what I've heard about it, it just seems like still a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to make of that game going into that stream, but having watched the stream, especially the multiplayer, the combat that you have to engage in, it's like this 3-on-3 like arena sports game, just almost, and it was actually pretty funny to watch because I wasn't expecting that for the combat system. I wasn't expecting this 3-on-3 match. I thought that was really, really cool. But there's a lot of depth to that game too. I mean, Ben, you were looking at all these different abilities and whatnot. It's got some depth in there too. So this could be a game you might be into.
Now, I had a question though. Is like in Pyre, like, is that the bulk of the gameplay? Is the 3-on-3 Pyre ball matches or whatever? Is there like exploration or anything else like that, or what else is going on in the game?
Yeah, no, it's kind of going. You're trying to get from combat encounter to combat encounter, but as you go through these encounters, there's a lot of story and dialogue, and there's some choices that you'll make as you go through on the journey. So I haven't come into any areas where you're like controlling the characters and exploring the areas, but there's a lot of story and a lot of dialogue and a lot of like world building, and the kind of quality of writing that we've come to expect from Supergiant is in Pyre, and that kind of stuff that happens in between the matches, I think is really good.
Okay, cool. That sounds cool. I was just wondering.
Yeah, I haven't come into any exploration areas yet though. Not sure if that's part of the game or not.
All right, cool. That's cool.
What have you been playing, Bender?
Uh, Still lots of Marvel Heroes Omega. I know people don't
Nice.
want to hear me talk about it every week, but like they did something really cool though. Just like a kind of a quick PSA. Like if you have spent real money on the game, like either buying a character pack or a currency pack or anything like that, they upgrade your account to what they call VIP status. So basically, you get a bunch of cool perks if you're a VIP. Is you get 5 eternity splinters every day you log in, which is like a premium currency that you can use to unlock characters. You get like extra expansion slots in your storage, and they also give you Nightcrawler as an unlockable hero, or as an unlocked hero. So, and he's awesome. He's a really cool character. He's fun to play as. They had also just added Black Cat, which I think it's on the outline. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's really cool. I like it a lot. I also picked up Overcooked on the Switch. Just came out for Switch. It's been out on other platforms, but I wanted to check it out on the Switch and check. And I've heard a lot about the game. It's really cool. I definitely want to try it out with friends. It's only local co-op. But if you play by yourself, you're controlling 2 cooks at the same time, and it gets really tough.
Yeah.
Because basically what you do is you start out in this kitchen, and you've got these orders that pop up on the top of the screen. So it'll be like tomato soup, and the ingredients will be 3 tomatoes. So you have to go get the ingredients. You have to chop them up. You have to put them in the pot. So you have to do that 3 times because it's three tomatoes in the pot. You have to watch the pot to make sure it doesn't cook because it has a bar that goes up and then it goes to a check mark. And if you let it sit for too long, it'll catch on fire, and the entire kitchen can catch on fire. You have to grab a fire extinguisher to put it out. So once it's cooked, you put it in a plate, you send it out to and then you work on the next order. So there's different orders, and they get more and more complex with each level. There's I counted 25 to 30 levels. Maybe I've only done the first 8 or 9 of them. But the stages get crazier as you go along too. The first one will be just a regular kitchen, but then one of the stages was you're on the kitchen was split in half and riding on the back of 2 trucks. So the trucks would be close together, and you could go back and forth between the 2 halves, but then they would part and they changed lanes, and you couldn't access the other half for a few seconds. Then they'd come back. And another stage was like an earthquake that would the stage would lift, half of it would lift up and the other half would drop down. So you have to kind of do things quickly while the stage is whole, and then the stage keeps changing. Another one was on a ship that the part of the counters would shift to one side or the other side, move back and forth, and that would change the layout of the kitchen that you'd have to move around and manage your things. It's really tough, but it's a cool game though. Yeah, it's super hectic, but it's a really cool too, and it's up to 4 players. So I definitely want to try to get some friends together and try it out, or at least connect controllers to see how it changes the game, because I'm wondering if it makes the kitchen bigger or changes the layout of it or something. Right. But it's definitely a cool game. I'm looking forward to playing more of it, but it's really interesting. But other than that, that's the main stuff I've been playing lately.
Cool. Good stuff. What have I been playing? I've been playing Super Cloud Built. I'm working my way through that. I should have that completed by the end of the weekend, and hopefully have my review out next week as well. Super Cloud Built, so far, I've managed to get a little bit further into this game, and it is really, really fun. It is also very, very difficult. It can get very, very hard. There's a couple of areas that I've gone into where I had to leave the area because I seriously was getting so frustrated, and it has nothing to do with the controls not responding. It's just my inability to master the controls in certain ways to get through this level. So it takes a lot of practice. You gotta get your head around the controls, but when you do, there are moments where you just start flying through levels. You're moving, you're wall jumping, you're running along walls, you're double jumping off. You're doing all this stuff, and it's exhilarating as hell. But it takes a lot of practice to get there. It takes a lot of practice. You got to learn the controls. But it's a beautiful looking game. It's a pretty interesting story. But the level designs, they are just so cool. This way everything, you're basically, these levels are set up in the sky. and you just have these floating platforms, these floating walls. Some walls have, spikes on the top where you can't go over them. Like, you got to really balance yourself when you wall run. There's a lot of skill required to play this game, but when you do get it down, it is extremely, extremely exhilarating. But it is very, very difficult. But, and my biggest pro tip is don't rush early on. I know it feels really, really cool when you can start sprinting right away and you're bouncing off everything. But when you try to do that early on without, figuring out all the abilities your character has, it can get frustrating because you'll die a lot. And you only have a certain amount of saves early on for each area. Like, the first area, you might only have 3 or 4. And if you lose all 3 or 4, you leave the area. But as you find collectibles throughout the level or complete certain objectives, once you reach the end of the level, you'll have like 5 or 6 lockers sitting there. And depending on, like, say if you picked up 4 of these types of objects, if you got all 4, it unlocks another locker. If you complete the level, you get a locker. If you collect certain collectibles, you'll unlock other lockers. And in each locker is an extra save. So as you're playing and going further along into the story, like, you start with only like 4 continues per level. But then as you get through, I'm up to like 23 continues. So if you die, you get 22 more chances, and then it'll obviously keep growing the more you play and the more objectives you complete. So there's a lot of incentive to, like, explore these levels, and some of these items are not easy to get. Like I said, some of them are well hidden, and that's kind of lends credence to the thing where you just don't want to go too fast early on. Explore the level, explore the beauty of this game. Look around corners, look off edges. Investigate every platform that's sitting out in the middle of nowhere. Try to find your way to it. There's a lot to this game. It's actually really, really fun, but it's very challenging. I'm hoping, like I said, I hope to have this finished by hopefully this weekend or early this week, and then have a review out next week. But so far, really, really enjoying Super Cloud Built.
Nice. Yeah, I need to pick that one up myself, man. I want to grab it this week. Is it still on sale by chance? Or was that a pre-order thing?
I'm going to say that was a pre-order thing, but I could be wrong.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
Cool.
I can't remember, but it's definitely, I think you would dig it, dude. It's a challenge. The controls take a little getting used to because your character is kind of floaty. When you move around, it's so fast, it almost feels like you're gliding it when you run instead of, like, plodding along. Like, you're kind of gliding as you move. So they feel a little loose at first, but once you start wall running and making your way to these different areas, you'll appreciate those loose controls a little bit. It won't feel as tight or as as hard to turn stuff. You want to be quick. So, like I said, it's a really fun game. I've really enjoyed it so far, and like I said, I can't wait to finish it up and get a review up on the site. So, sweet. But other than that, that's pretty much all we've been playing, boys. Let's get into these new releases, dude.
Let's hop into it, man. So we'll start on the PlayStation side of things, and first of all, we've got the PlayStation Plus games for August. So these will go live this Tuesday when the store updates on August 1st. So the first falls on a Tuesday this month. So let's go through this list, guys. First of all, on the PS4, Just Cause 3 making an appearance on there alongside Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. So this was the standalone Assassin's Creed Black Flag expansion that was very, very well received. It was originally a piece of DLC for the game, but then they broke it off into its own standalone thing. So that will be available as well. On the PS3 side of things, we've got Super Motherload, that almost Dig Dug kind of game, and Snake Ball. On the Vita, Downwell, which is an awesome game, and this is a cross-buy title, so you'll have it on the PS4 as well. And then Level 22, which is that super goofy game about it's a stealth game about a guy who's late for work and he's got to sneak into work without getting caught. So that game actually looks kind of fun. But in addition to that, they've got this movie promo that they're running throughout the month where every week they'll have a movie rental available for 99 cents. So like the Lego Batman movies going right now. They have like Logan and some movies, some big time movies planned for the next few weeks that are on the docket. So if you're interested in watching some movies this summer, be on the lookout for that. Also for PlayStation Plus members this month, Dreadnought, a game that we'll be talking about in the new release list here. There's a PlayStation Plus pack with a $20 value that'll be available starting August 15th. This is something they seem to be doing now. They did it with Orcs Must Die Unchained last month. I'm not sure if this is going to be like a supplemental thing they're going to continue to do moving forward, but it's kind of cool that they have packs like this available for some of these free-to-play games to get into. So, Brent, what are your thoughts on this list, man?
Finally, a couple of PS4 games I don't already own.
There you go.
That's awesome. Just Cause 3 and Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. Pumped about those. PS3 stuff is pretty much obsolete to me, but Downwell is really, really fun. Level 22 might as well just be called Brent every day. And, the other stuff is pretty cool. But no, the PS4 games, that's awesome. Just Cause 3 and Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, 2 games I've never even played or owned. So awesome.
Yeah. And pro tip for Just Cause 3, if you have a PlayStation 4 Pro, make sure you turn boost mode.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you turn that boost mode on because it makes a significant difference in that game. I don't have Just Cause 3 either, and I'm actually looking forward to adding that one to the library. It always looks like a ton of fun when I watch videos of it and watch people playing of it. I don't know when I'll be able to get to it, but the fact that we're getting a AAA caliber game in the library this month is pretty cool. Bender, what do you think on this list, man?
It's a pretty good list. I've heard good things about Downwell, so I'm definitely interested in checking that out. The others I don't know a whole lot about, but they seem like they could be cool, so I guess I'll have to check them out and see for myself.
Yeah, Downwell, very simple premise. You're a guy and you're kind of falling down this vertical stage, and you've got these gun boots, and you have to use these boots to attack enemies as you're moving down, and also to keep yourself kind of afloat. And it's not really platforming, but there's like a platforming-esque kind of strategy to it as you work your way down this well, as the name of the game says. But it's such a simple concept, but it's so challenging. It's an extremely challenging game, and the trophies in this game are awesome. Like, they really task you with doing some really intense stuff, like making it. The thing is, when you land, your boots they reload. So you've got to figure out, to manage your reloading. But how does it work, Brent? When you attack an enemy, it reloads, or
yep.
So you've got to kind of figure out like there's some trophies for getting to the bottom without like touching the ground.
Yeah.
So you just move through, and you've got to figure out like how to maneuver through the enemies to constantly keep your gun reloaded, so that you can keep moving down the well without touching the ground. So yeah, it's a really, really cool game. If you haven't played it, it's an inexpensive game, but it's an awesome game if you've never played it before. I highly, highly recommend Downwell. Extremely challenging game, but also really, really fun. It's got that one more run. It's one of those games that could keep you up for hours. And you're like, all right, just one more time. Let me see if I can get down here and do this. So yeah, that's a really cool game. So solid list from Plus for this month. Let's get into the new stuff that's coming out this week. And at the top of this list, guys, I have Patapon Remastered. So Patapon Remastered is actually available right now on pre-order with a discount. So if you haven't pre-ordered this game, it's only like $11.99. And I don't know if you guys have ever played Patapon, but Patapon is an extremely unique title. And it originally came out on the PSP. It's this game that there's really not any other games like it. It combines like rhythm and strategy and role-playing games into this really unique, really quirky package that it's just kind of a really, really offbeat game that's cool. And this game's hard. This game's hard as hell. This game was extremely challenging on the PSP, and I imagine that will be intact on the PlayStation version here. So it can be a little misleading when you look at this game. It's got these super cute characters, this really inviting art style. But when you get into this game, this is a hard ass game. So be prepared to get into there and have your teeth kicked in a little bit. Yeah, the premise of the game is you've got this group or this tribe of characters that you're leading through these levels, and the only way they progress and the only way they do anything is if you input the right rhythm on the buttons or on the controller. So there's different songs that you learn throughout the game that do different things. So you've got to kind of remember the songs for the characters, so you know which buttons to press and how to attack and when to defend and when to push forward and things like that. And it takes into account if you hit it perfectly and you keep the rhythm going, then you get different buffs and stuff to your characters as you go along. It's tough to describe without seeing it in motion, but Patapon is a supremely awesome game. This game's gonna look fantastic in 4K. I mean, this game jumped off the screen on the PSP. Now that this game's being remastered in 4K on the PlayStation 4 Pro, this thing is going to jump off the screen. This is a fantastic looking game. I can't wait to see this thing in action. So my hope is that that a lot of people go out, pick up Patapon Remastered. Maybe we'll see Patapon 2 and 3 remastered as well sometime down the line, or maybe they'll even revisit Patapon at some point. But Brent, you ever played Patapon, or what are your thoughts on this, man?
I've never played it. Obviously, it looks like a cool game, but I literally know nothing about this game other than what you just told us.
So I recommend you go get it.
Okay.
Bender, you ever played Patapon, man?
I never have, but I've heard a lot about it, and it's definitely seems like something I would get into, especially if there's like rhythm elements to it and everything. I love rhythm games. I love music games. So anything with music and rhythm incorporated into it is my kind of game. So I'm definitely thinking about checking this one out.
Yeah, it's a sweet price too. I mean, for $15, or if you pre-order it and get the discount on it, it's totally worth it. There's some cool like segments where you're in the village too, and you're doing some of the different stuff that you have available to you there. There's, like I said, there's RPG mechanics in here, so you're upgrading your characters. You're trying to get them better gear so that you can progress through the stages. There's some really tough bosses that you're going to encounter as you go through the game here. It's just a supremely unique title, and it's one that if you're a fan of quirky games, if you're a fan of rhythm games, if you're just a fan of gaming in general, I recommend you check out Patapon Remastered because it is a really, really unique experience in gaming. Next on this list, The Long Dark is making its way over to the PS4 this week. And this is kind of the coming out party for The Long Dark. So it's been in early access on Steam for the better part of, I think, a year and a half now. It's been an Xbox game preview for a while as well. And this is the official like 1.0 launch. And the cool thing that they're doing with The Long Dark is in the early access process, I believe they only gave people access to the kind of the survival, mode in the game, or the kind of just the survival mechanics. But when the game officially launches here, the first 2 episodes of this kind of sprawling story that they're putting together are going to be available with this release. So it's called Wintermute, and it's the, like I said, the single player story version of The Long Dark that they've been putting together. And the first 2 episodes are called Do Not Go Gentle.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do Not Go Gentle and Luminance Fugu. Fugu.
I'm gonna go with Fug You.
Yeah, that's that sounds right. Luminance Fug You. And the interesting thing about this is they claim that these 2 episodes represent 6 to 10 hours of single player story content. So this, like I said, this is a 5-episode saga. So when Wintermute is all said and done, this could be a very, very long, very involved story mode. And, they've been talking about this for a little while. And, it sounds like they're putting a lot into this, and they expect this to be like a really, really impactful story. So interested to see how that all works out. But, yeah, I heard some cool things about this game. A lot of people have been enjoying this game in early access. Sounds like some of the survival elements are really cool. It takes place in like the Canadian winter or whatnot, so it's an interesting setting from a gaming perspective. Brent, have you been following this one at all in The Long Dark?
A little bit, but not enough to really know how to feel about it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how this one's gonna pan out, but I am super interested in this title to see how it plays out. Bender, you heard of The Long Dark at all?
Yeah, I remember seeing a trailer for it or something. Isn't this the one that's like a kind of a survival game mixed with an adventure game or something like that?
Yeah, it has 2 distinct modes. It has the Wintermute story mode, which you're talking about, and also has this kind of more open-ended like survival mode, from what I understand in the game. So yeah, it sounds really interesting. Like I said, there's been some good feedback on the game from early access users. So we'll definitely keep my eye on The Long Dark. That one will be out this Tuesday. First time it'll be on PlayStation as well. So it's been in early access on Xbox and on PC, but it will finally be on PlayStation for its 1.0 release. Also this week, Shadow Tactics: Blades of the Shogun, which is a top-down like stealth game. Actually, kind of a cool looking title. It's coming to retail as well as digital. So
I played a little bit on PC. It's
did
pretty
you?
good. Yeah,
Did you play this on
pretty
PC?
good.
Okay, cool.
I'll be curious to see how this thing transfers over to a console. I'll be curious to see how it plays out on console because it's using the mouse. You got to move the map with the mouse and do different things on the PC side. But from all intents and purposes, it's a really, really good game. It's a very tough strategy game, but it's really good.
Yeah, look like a cool game from what I saw. So that's good that you've played it and have some good things to say about it. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes on Shadow Tactics. Demetrios is a point-and-click adventure. Demetrios, the Big Cynical Adventure, is a point-and-click adventure game coming over to the PS4 this week. Bender, this looks like something up your alley, man. I know you love these kind of games.
Mm-hmm.
Looks to have a a crazy storyline, some humor, some goofy characters, and cool animated art style. So this looks like one to keep our eye on.
Mm-hmm.
Brawlhalla, the Founders Pack is releasing this week, so this is kind of the next, and I believe this is the final stage of the PS4 beta for Brawlhalla. So if you get in on the Founders Pack, you'll actually have access to all the characters that ever released for this game without having to pay for it. So that'll be included as part of that. You get some other Founders items as well. But yeah, super interested in Brawlhalla. I have the PS4 beta right now. I've played it a little bit. It's very beautiful, very cool looking. Plays pretty cool. It is a Smash Brothers type of game, but it has some different mechanics that I've still yet to wrap my head around fully. So I definitely want to play some more of this game. It's fun from what I've played so far. So not entirely sure what will feature on the Indie Spotlight this week, but there's a couple games. A few of the ones that we just mentioned are all in contention. So just make sure you tune in Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, on our YouTube channel at Short Pause Gaming on YouTube. We fire it up every single week. We play a new downloadable, smaller title that comes out during the week. Fire it up for a while, see what it's all about. So make sure you stop by. We'd love to see you in there. Draw Fighters is also out this week. It's a strange game about creating a character and then taking it into kind of an arena-based fighter. A Frisky Business, the game we talked about on the Vita a while ago. This very risque, visual novel-esque puzzle kind of game. Arcade Archives Neo Geo Super Sidekicks is available now. We missed that one last week. It's the soccer game. Avon Colony's coming over to retail this week. So this is that sci-fi city builder. Came out last week. It'll be in retail stores this week. Dreadnought is in open beta this week. So this is the new game from Jaeger. A lot of people are interested in. It's just kind of seems like a very hardcore, space sim, one of those kind of games. We're seeing a lot of these pop up in recent years. So, if you're into that kind of thing, maybe keep an eye out for Dreadnought. Like I said, open beta this Tuesday. And if you're a PlayStation Plus member, once again, you get that pack associated with it as well. So you'll have that on the 15th of August. Titanfall 2's Operation Frontier Shield DLC is available now. We missed that last week. This is that, horde mode style add-on for the game that's available now. Tekken 7's Eliza character is available now as well. She just went live, I believe, yesterday as we're recording this. So if you have Tekken 7, make sure you fire that up. And another character that's available now is Black Cat, Marvel Heroes Omega. Bender, you take her around the block yet for a spin?
I have not yet, because she's not going to be available for purchase with in-game currency until August 28th. Right now, she's only purchasable with real money. Like it's like a $20 pack to buy her right now.
Interesting. Okay.
And there's already people who have her up to level 60.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's some there's some crazy people that play Marvel Heroes Omega, but really just MMOs in general.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people that the minute you put new content out, like they're just voraciously consuming it.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me a lot of what happens with Destiny. And even though Bungie doesn't classify Destiny as an MMO, in a lot of ways it is, and it attracts that kind of crowd, and it appeals to that kind of part of your brain. And the minute something new becomes available, like people just jump on it and just ravenously just consume it. And so it's wild that a lot of people already have her up to level 60.
Yeah, and some people spend hundreds of dollars on these games too.
Yeah,
like I like free to play games because they're free to play, and I'll spend some money on it if it's a game I really like. But some people go crazy with spending hundreds of dollars on these games.
Yeah, some of it gets pretty extreme. So that's your PS4 releases. Let's get into the PSVR. Some cool games on this list here. A couple that we missed last week, Brent. This first one here, Apollo 11 VR. Have you looked at this, man?
No.
So I pulled up this game, and apparently it's basically kind of reenacting the Apollo 11 mission in VR. So I don't know how in depth they get with this, but apparently they splice in like real audio and real video from the actual Apollo 11 interspersed with the gameplay.
Hmm.
So seems like a really interesting idea, and it's actually something I wouldn't mind experiencing. I'm wondering if you get to experience like the takeoff and obviously the walking on the moon and all that kind of stuff is in there. So really interested in that one. Also out right now, Digital Domain's Monkey King, which is seems like more of a storybook or like almost something that you watch play out. I don't know if there's any actual gameplay in this. Another interesting idea in PSVR. This week we've got Dino Frontier, which is that kind of frontier building game in the obviously there's dinosaurs in it and you've got to deal with them. It's a game that's actually been promoted pretty heavily the past few weeks, and it's kind of a cool looking title. So I'm interested to see how that one plays out. Then Castle Storm coming over to VR. This is that I think it's a tower defense game. It's from Zen Studios, but it's available in VR on the PSVR this week. Might also be a really cool experience in there. Nothing for the Vita this week. Let's get into Xbox. We've got the games with gold, fellas. Let's run through this for August. Very strong list for Xbox this month. So first and foremost, we have Slime Rancher, which is a new title, a console launch exclusive, for the Xbox One. That'll be out on the 1st of August, and you'll have that available the entire month until the 31st. Trials Fusion, the latest in the Trials franchise. That's available August 16th through September 15th. On the Xbox 360 side of things, from the 1st through the 15th, you're going to have access to Bayonetta on the Xbox 360. And, of course, these games are backwards compatible with the Xbox One. And Red Faction Armageddon is also available from the 16th to the 31st. So, Brent, your thoughts on this list?
I really like Trials Fusion. That game is really, really fun. And I never played Bayonetta. So that's actually I'm really excited that that's available because I can actually check this out and see what it's all about. Red Faction Armageddon, I played that. I didn't really care for that one. I thought that was a weak follow-up to the one before it. The one before it I thought was awesome because it had so much destruction. At the time, I was like, holy cow, this looks insane. And then when Red Faction Armageddon came out, I played it. I was like, this isn't nearly as good. And Slime Rancher, I don't know anything about, but it's a new game, and I don't own it, so I'll make sure I add it to my library.
Yeah, Red Faction Armageddon almost universally panned following Guerrilla. So, so make of that what you will. Bender, your thoughts on this list?
Seems like a pretty cool list. I also have never played Bayonetta, but it's always a game I've had kind of an interest in, so I think I might want to check that out. Frankie seems to really enjoy those games, so I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, I've played the first Bayonetta. The first Bayonetta is awesome. Haven't played the second one. Never had a Wii U to play it, but never played through Bayonetta from beginning to end. But when I played it, it's awesome. If you like Devil May Cry, if you like character action games, it's definitely one that you need to check out. So strong list from the Xbox One this month. And moving on from there, Arcade Archives Neo Geo Super Sidekicks is available now as well on the Xbox One. Shadow Tactics will be out this week, both digitally and at retail. And, of course, as we mentioned, The Long Dark is going to be on Xbox this week as well in its 1.0 form, so it'll be coming out of early access. Like we mentioned, Slime Rancher launching day and date as part of Xbox Gold. This is a console launch exclusive, so eventually it'll be out on other platforms. But for right now, just on the Xbox One, some kind of I don't even know how to describe this, but it looks to have some like settlement building elements to it, as well as some exploration elements. So not entirely sure how this plays out, but this is one that's been in early access for a while on Steam. A hunting simulator hits the Xbox Live this week. Avon Colonies at retail. And then we get into our Wednesday releases, and the big one here is Tacoma. So even though we've been talking about this, I almost feel like this kind of snuck up on us. So this will be out Wednesday, August 2nd. Of course, this is launching first on Xbox One. Bender, I know you're a big fan of Fulbright. What are you thinking now that Tacoma is going to be out on Wednesday?
I'm looking forward to finally playing this game. It's one I've been interested in since I first heard about it. I really liked Gone Home, and those guys seem to be really good at telling a good story. So that seems like my type of game. That's gonna have a good narrative, and looking forward to checking that out. And this is really going to be the start of the big August of games. There's lots of games coming out, but this is the first one for me anyway. That starts this really busy season for games that are releasing. So yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to playing it.
Actually, actually went through and wrote down some of the games that are going to be out between now and Destiny 2. So I wanna go through this list with you guys. And if you're a gamer, if you're a fan of games, these next like 5-6 weeks are I mean, there's no summer lull here. So for really we can go back and we can start with Splatoon 2. Like that's kind of where this all started. And regardless of how you feel about Splatoon, it's a big game for some, not a big game for others. That was a big title for the Switch. And since that one came out, so then we had Pyre, we had Super Cloud Build, we had Sundered this week. Next week we're getting Patapon, Tacoma, and then we're getting all these games between now and Destiny 2. Hellblade, Lawbreakers, Agents of Mayhem, City Skylines coming over to the PS4, Matterfall, Nidhogg 2, Sonic Mania, Uncharted Lost Legacy on the 22nd, Mages of Mistralia, Absolver, Everybody's Golf, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Windjammers, Yakuza Kiwami, Life is Strange Before the Storm, Episode 1, Observer, Batman the Enemy Within, Episode 1, the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, Undertale on the PS4 and Vita, Zero Time Dilemma on the PS4, Thimbleweed Park on the PS4, the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy Collection, Pillars of Eternity Complete, and The Last Day of June. These are all the games that are coming out between now and Destiny 2.
Yeah, there's probably like 6 or 8 of those that you mentioned that I really want to play.
just absolute insanity, man. I mean, good gosh. So this is going to be the busiest August I can remember on record, and once again, it's gonna be one of those things where, you know, there's probably 25 games on that list. I'll probably play one of them, maybe 2. So we'll probably 2 for sure. Mega Man Legacy Collection and Uncharted. Like those are the 2 games that I'll for sure play on that list. But then everything else just kind of goes to the backlog, and that's unfortunate. But I mean this run up to Destiny 2 is going to be epic, and it's one of those things that Brent. I mean, just how do you choose, man? Like as a gamer, as a fan of, as somebody who like loves games and loves games of all different kinds, like this kind of stuff just makes me pull my hair out, man. I know you said that you like the fall rush and all that, but I'm not a fan of it because stuff like this happens. Because all these games come out, and then it's just a bunch of games that I don't get to play. So it's nuts, man.
It's hard to deal with, man. It's not easy being a gamer, especially in the last quarter of the year. Just straight chaos, dude. And you just gotta pick and choose. You know what are your friends playing? What's gonna scratch that itch for you? It's hard, man. And it's, you know, for those of you out there that are listening that can buy them all, power to you, man. I wish I was you, but I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yes, I've kind of made peace with the games that I'm planning to play this fall, or the game I'm planning to play this fall. So it just kind of is what it is, man. But I'm not I won't lose too much sleep over it. So once again, Tacoma will be out this Wednesday. Fulbright's new game. Hopefully this one turns out like Gone Home did, and everybody loves it. We'll see. Also this week for the Xbox, Demetrios: The Big Cynical Adventure is a Wednesday release. Mr. Shifty coming over on Friday. So cool game, making its way over to the Xbox now. It is currently on the Switch and the PS4 as well. We fired it up for the Spotlight a few weeks ago. I had a good time with it. It's one I definitely want to play some more of. Race Arcade is a top-down racer that's out on Friday. The Way, which is a kind of a throwback game. It has echoes of Out of This World or Flashback, those old 16-bit games. Those are kind of the inspiration for this one. This one actually looks really neat. So that's a Friday release. And then Oh Sir, the Insult Simulator is coming out on Xbox this week on Friday. Some other odds and ends here on the Xbox side of things. Path of Exile, the closed beta, is going on right now. It goes on for the next couple weeks. Halo Wars 2, the Serena and Operation Spearbreaker DLC is available now. Titanfall 2's Operation Frontier Shield is on the platform now. Black Cat's over there now for Marvel Heroes Omega. And then this week, Forza Horizon 3 is getting its Final Fantasy 15 Regalia DLC, so you'll be able to drive that car around.
That's awesome.
In the Forza Horizon 3 world. And then
Cool.
we've got some new titles coming to the Xbox Game Pass starting on Tuesday. So 7 new games, starting with Dirt Rally, Dead Rising 3, So Many Me, Metal Slug, XX Limbo, Ultratron, and Pharaonic are all going to be available on the Xbox Game Pass starting on Tuesday. Any guys sign up for that or give it a whirl?
No.
Cool. All right, let's get into Nintendo now. So what we missed last week on the Switch, Bender, you mentioned Overcooked. We talked about it at the top of the show. That's available now on there for $19.99. Arcade Archives Neo Geo Super Sidekicks on there as well. The Namco Museum game we talked about last week actually has a free multiplayer-only version of Pac-Man Verse on the eShop now that you can pick up. And then this doesn't mean anything to me. Does it mean anything to you, Brent? The Dually Squelchers are available in Splatoon 2 as of right now.
I'm going to have to jump in there and check it out. I've got quite a bit of time with Splatoon 2. I'll have to go in there and see what those guns are all about, man.
Cool. You let us know about those Dually Squelchers. All right, this week on the Switch, we got Retro City Rampage DX is coming out on Thursday for $14.99. Slime Sand is out on Thursday, and then the latest Arcade Archives title, Neo Geo Aero Fighters 2, will be out on the eShop on Thursday. On the Wii U, what we missed last week, we got a trio of TurboGrafx 16 virtual console games: Victory Run, Ninja Spirit, and Air Zonk, which looks like Bonk as a side-scrolling shoot 'em up, which is interesting. And then
I think Zonk is a sequel to Bonk or something like that.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know my TurboGrafx history, so so yeah, Zonk has some kind of connection to Bonk, and this game looks pretty weird. So still cranking out the virtual console for the Wii U. Sure would be nice if that was on the Switch. Cube Shift is also on the Wii U right now for free on the eShop. This week we have Flight of Light, which is some type of a like racing game. It'll be a futuristic racing game. It's out on Thursday for $8. On the 3DS, what we missed last week, Parascientific Escape, Crossing at the Farthest Horizon, is on the eShop now for $5. And Kid Trip's on there for $4. Don't have any of the 3DS releases for this week. Brent, that's going to do it for the new releases.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Boyce. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We've got some Destiny 2 news to talk about, shocking, and a bunch of other stuff. But we got some music here from Ruel Ethan, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks again to Ruel Ethan for providing the music for this podcast. He produces the opening, the closing, and the music you just heard. Very talented young man. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. Check out his music on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, boys. Time to jump into the news. And of course, Bungie revealed a whole bunch of new stuff regarding Destiny 2 and what we can expect to find when we're wandering around these different worlds they've created. What can we expect to see here with Destiny 2, boys?
Dude, this week was so exciting with some of this news, man. I absolutely cannot wait to get into this game and explore some of these worlds and do some of these things that Bungie was talking about this week. So obviously, all month long, and it's why we featured Destiny at the top of the show for the better part of this last month. But all through July, Destiny 2 was featured on the IGN First promotion. So lots of new content, lots of new things about the game coming out seemingly every day. And this week was no different. And we're going to start with a conversation that Bungie's Rob Engeln, is that how you say his name? I hope that's how you say his name. Hopefully I didn't butcher it. But Rob Engeln, he was on IGN this week, and he explained the stuff really which in my opinion, at least for me, is the stuff that I'm looking forward to the most, that I'm most anticipating. It's the stuff about the world, about the open world that's in Destiny 2. And he got into some of the nitty-gritty details. So let's run through this one by one. Through this, if you haven't watched this video, definitely go watch it. It's cool to hear him talking about all this stuff and see it in motion. But we'll break this down one by one, and we're gonna start, fellas, with the public events. So in Destiny 2, we saw them. There was some footage. They were doing this Cabal excavation. It was called. So there was like a drill site, and there were hordes of Cabal raining down on them, and you kind of had to defend this drill site. It was like a war sat type of mission. There's a central point that you were trying to protect, and then enemies are coming at you from all sides. The other part about this one is that there's a Cabal dropship that's firing on you constantly as well while you're trying to protect this drill. So that adds another layer to it. But this was our first kind of taste of one of the public events that are going to be in Destiny 2 here. So let's go through some of the stuff Rob had to say. So we have a few events that we've taken and reimagined from before. So when talking about public events, we also have a huge number of new types of events, more new types than have ever been in Destiny before. With public events, the team looked at things that we did in releases, such as the Taken King with the Court of Oryx and the Archon's Forge, and we thought a lot about how do we take that type of public gameplay that has some difficulty, that has a little bit of bite to it, and it's really kind of interesting to play. How do we take that and do that in Destiny 2? Instead of finding one spot in the game that you'll go to over and over, we decided to diffuse that among the public events on all the destinations. And so you saw things like the heroic triggers. So every public event has an optional bonus objective. And if you trigger it, then you get an extra hard version of the event with way more enemies coming in, and sometimes optional bonus objectives or bosses that you have to kill. And if you are able to complete that, you get bonus rewards for it. So Brent, I ask you, hearing about some of the new things that they're going to do with public events, specifically heroic public events, what do you think about that?
Dude, that's awesome, because if you can trigger that, then you're going for the good loot now. You're going to want to purposely try to trigger that event every time. So and I think that's going to bring more people together. People are going to really want to make sure they're around when these public events go, because they're going to want to trigger that heroic one. They're going to want to do whatever they need to do to get that going, to get that stuff. I think that's going to make the public events even more active than what they were before.
Definitely. Bender, what do you think about this idea of a heroic public event? And now I like that they talked about the Court of Oryx and the Archon's Forge. Those are two of my favorite public things that are in Destiny right now. Had a ton of fun in both of those spaces, so I like that. Those are kind of two of the guiding forces behind their thoughts when it comes to public events for Destiny 2. What do you think about all this public event business, man?
I think that sounds awesome. It's going to be really cool to be patrolling and just see one of these events happening and just run up and join in. And that's one of the things I really liked about the Court of Oryx was that, if you're just walking around the Dreadnought, you see an event going, you're like, oh, I'm going to go jump in there. And that's one of the things I thought they missed with the Archon's Forge. Archon's Forge was really fun, but they sectioned it off into this little area that wasn't easy to come by. And that there weren't as many people jumping in, passersby and stuff like that. I think this is going to fix that problem, because if you're putting these things out in the open world and it's like a public event that everyone is going to be able to come across and see, and they see, oh, they've triggered a heroic public event, I'm going to jump in there and help out and get some of those rewards. That's gonna foster a lot of cooperation and people helping each other out and stuff like that, and that sounds like a lot of fun. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody too, the timers and whatnot for the events are going to be right on your map there, so you're going to know when a public event is getting ready to come up. It's all going to be on the game, so you're not going to have to You're not going to have to go to destinypublicevents.com and follow along the little map and figure out what event is happening where. That's all going to be in the game now. So that'll juice up the public events even more because everybody's going to know when they're happening. We're all looking at the same timer. So I think that's going to be exciting from that respect as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving on from the public events, Rob talked a little bit about adventures. So adventures are, quote, are sort of side missions. They're kind of similar in scope to some of the quest missions you might have done in the previous Destiny games. They have story, they're fully voiced, they expand on the story of what's going on in the destination, or potentially tell you a little bit of backstory of the characters or why some of the combatant races are there and what they're fighting over. They're all self-contained, they're reasonably quick, and they have no load screens. So you can sort of start one and then finish it and stay in the destination as a group and go on to the next piece of content. So, Bender, what do you think about that, man? So we've got these are like mini quests. So we've got like the main story quest. We've got some other things that we're going to talk about here, which sound a little more substantial. But do you like the idea of having these kind of mini quests that are going to, sound like they add lore to the game, add a little bit of background to some of the story elements? You on board for that?
Definitely. Yeah, that sounds awesome. To have some additional story content or something to really draw you in, for it to be fully voice acted and have some sort of reason for why you're doing what you're doing, and to not have to load into like an instance or something. It's just right there. You can get it done and just move on, do something else. That sounds really cool. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Brent, so we're wandering around the world, man. We come across an NPC, we get an adventure. We hop in there, bang out this quest, get some sweet loot. There's voice acting, there's story elements, there's background coming into play. Knock that out, and then we move on to the next piece of content that we're gonna do. That sounds pretty rad, right?
Dude, if there's any weakness I have with RPGs, it's always side quests. So them putting side quests into a game like Destiny 2 is just it's more content, dude. It's more stuff to do. I mean, obviously, you'll know the story missions. Once you complete them, you'll know where these story missions are. But the side quests are the ones that you stumble upon, the ones that you find when you explore. I mean, I love side quests. And the fact that these are full dialogue, you'll get more story, you get more lore. And who knows, man, they might have side quests where they just have like they're like real hidden side quests. They have like big payouts or like big impacts on the story. I mean, they could go a lot of different directions with side quests, man. I love side quests. I don't do those all day.
Yeah. Really, really excited to see what they do with the adventures, but I like the idea of these kind of mini little snippets of a quest, or like these mini little things you can do that maybe aren't as involved as like a full-on story quest or some of these other things that we're going to talk about. I like the idea that these are going to be peppered around the map that you can get into and earn some loot while you're going around. Now, let's talk some Lost Sectors.
Yes.
Lost Sectors is one of the things that we're most excited about. And here's what Rob had to say about Lost Sectors. So, quote, Lost Sectors originated from the idea of finding a little cave and wondering what if there were actually something down there. How many times have we done that in Destiny?
Oh man, all those little caves that you go into and there's just nothing. Sometimes there's a little chest. Yeah. Other times you just walk and you're like, damn, there's nothing in here. I wish there was like a cave, like a tunneling system that led somewhere crazy.
What if there wasn't just a small little cave, potentially with a chest in it? But what if you kept going and it turned into a huge cave system, and there was a boss in it. And when you fought the boss, there was a chest, and you could loot it. And we love that fantasy, and we invested pretty heavily in some new tech and workflows that let us execute that throughout all of the destinations in Destiny 2. So as you guys saw, the flow is generally, he's going to talk about how these work. So the flow is generally, you can spot this symbol, and we're painting it in places where you can usually see it from the main road. And when you see that symbol, you know that there's a lost sector nearby. So then you have to sort of get off your Sparrow and hunt around and find the entrance. Some of the entrances are easier to find than others. Some of them are pretty well hidden, and there's some gameplay justifying them. And then once you get down there, each of them has an encounter. The size of them varies. Some of them are shorter than others. Some of them are actually quite large. And at the very end, there's a boss that you fight. After you defeat the boss, it unlocks a chest, and you can loot the chest and move on. So, Brent, sounds pretty awesome, right?
Dude, that's the one thing I wanted from the Dreadnought when the Taking King came around. You know, we go on the Dreadnought, and, you know, we always talk about it, like, man, we wish there was a couple of hidden paths, you know, especially when you broke out your ghost and you could see the paths that, like, appeared out of nowhere. Those are things that I really, really want to see in games like this. And that's what this sounds like. You're going to go, you'll see this symbol, and you start searching for this cave or this entrance or whatever. Then you work your way inside it and realize it's a much deeper, more expansive like cave system. You're battling your way through, and all of a sudden you come across this huge boss. I like the fact that some are easier to find than others. I want some that are really, really hard to find. I want to feel like, holy cow, we actually found this and nobody else has found it yet. That stuff is awesome to me. I think that stuff is fantastic, especially if you're looking for a long time and you can't find it, and it's something just so small, something that triggers an opening or something like that. I mean, there's so many ways it could go with this. That's exciting to me. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So Bender, Brent touched on something there, but these are going to vary. So occasionally we're going to find a lost sector where maybe we just have to go around to the back of a mountain and there's the entrance to the cave. We just go down there, and maybe it's a shorter section. We fight a boss, get the loot, and move on. Now, sometimes this might be one of the Indiana Jones, like find the book in the bookcase that opens up the wall or whatever. It could be one of these types of things. And I have no doubt there's going to be stuff like that. Bungie has done some diabolical things with Destiny. I mean, we've seen some of the things they've put together for like the Outbreak Prime and for like the Sleeper Simulant, and some of these quests that they put together are just absurd. So we know how their mind works, and there's no doubt in my mind that some of these lost sectors are going to be just like, what in the hell? Like, how do you get into this place? Like, what do we do? So some of them are going to be like that, and then it sounds like some of them, once you get down there, these are going to be some lengthy encounters. There's going to be a lot to go through to get to this boss at the end and find the chest that's down there. All of this sounds freaking sweet. What do you think, Bender?
I agree. It sounds pretty sweet to me too. I hadn't heard until now about that you might have to search for the entrance. You just see this symbol as you're riding along your Sparrow. Look, ooh, there's a lost sector here somewhere. Some of them you might have to like look around, search for it. Kind of reminds me of, for those who have played Horizon Zero Dawn, the cauldrons. They're these kind of dungeony type areas where some of them you can't just walk in. You have to find the entrance. So that's kind of what that reminded me of. But that sounds awesome. And then you get to fight a boss at the end and get a sweet loot chest. So I think that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah. Love the way this sounds. Sounds like we're gonna get some pretty sweet loot from these as well. So yeah, just these like little hidden dungeons throughout the world. I think that's a really, really great concept to add to the Destiny world. Now, this next thing we're going to talk about is super interesting because I hadn't heard about this until this week. To my knowledge, we follow Bungie pretty closely. We follow Destiny pretty closely. I hadn't heard anything about this. This is the first we've heard of world quests. So, there was a quest they were showing in the IGN videos involving failsafe. So, this is Rob talking about world quests. So, quote, "Failsafe is a new NPC in Destiny 2. You might have heard her talking during the strike that we showed at the Destiny reveal in E3. She's actually the AI that's left over from this human colony ship that crashed on the destination, so she's still ticking even though all the other survivors are gone." So this quest that you get, it's an example of something we're calling a world quest. If adventures represent really small, bite-sized stories, world quests are our way of telling much larger, more interesting, and multi-part stories about a destination. This one is really sort of the story about failsafe. You know where she's going from here and what happened to the crew of the ship that crashed. They didn't go any further into the story from there. They of course want you to experience that. They're similar in scope to the sort of quest mission that you might have seen before. There's multiple of them strung together. These open up actually after you finish the main campaign. So they give you a chance to go back, revisit the destination, have some additional story content, and also get really good rewards. Bender, what do you think about world quests, man? So there's a couple things here. So one, these are larger stories, larger quests. And when you mention something similar to Destiny 1, some of these quests, like I said, are pretty involved. Like you've got 7, 8, 9, 10 steps in some of these things where you're doing multiple things. You're talking to multiple people. You're going through multiple stories. So to have an in-depth quest like this is really cool. And how about the fact that they're opened up after you finish the main campaign? So you've got all of these new story opportunities after you finish the main campaign that are going to kind of flesh out the world of Destiny 2 even further. What do you think about what we're hearing about world quests here, man?
I really like the sound of that. That sounds really, really cool. I like the fact that it opens up after you finish the main quest, because I mean that's going to keep you invested. You're not done once you finish the main story. You still have stuff to do. That's really interesting. They're going to delve into the story of this AI. I remember hearing her voice, when you first start the strike that we did, the inverted fire, and we were like, "Who's that?" So that's going to be cool to be able to learn a little bit more about that new character and everything. But yeah, as much story as they want to give me, I'll take. I mean, I'm not going to be the ones who's complaining about too much story. There's no such thing. So yeah, I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, Brent. So we're talking about the main campaign. We're talking about adventures. We're talking about lost sectors and world quests and lore and scanning the environment and all these different things that are going to be in Destiny, building the story and building this world of Destiny 2. What do you think about world quests, dude? You got to be excited about these.
Bender just said it. I mean, this is what we've wanted. This is what we want. We want reasons to go back in and explore these worlds, and we want explanations. We want details about who's who, what's what, and why things are happening, and that's what we're getting here. I mean, we have all these different things. I mean, world quests, adventures, lost sectors. I mean, all this stuff is giving us lore. It's giving us story, and it's giving us content. This is what we want. We want more content. We want story. They're giving us multiple tiers of it here. This is fantastic, dude.
Yeah, and Bungie, like we've talked about on this podcast the last few weeks, they've been hammering home that there's a lot of story in this game. There's a lot of different avenues you're going to be able to get story from. And from everything that we're hearing here, it sounds like that's going to be the case. What do you think about the fact that these could be like Destiny 1 style quests, man? Like that kind of expansiveness in terms of these world quests, like after you finish the main campaign. That's pretty neat, right?
Yeah, I mean that's... Hey, if you want to, go do Crucible, you can. If you want to do strike missions, you can. If you want to go in and keep doing quests, if you want to keep doing story missions, they're going to be available long after you complete the main storyline. There's going to be so much stuff to do. You're going to literally have so many choices of things to do. What do you want to do today? That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how this stuff plays out. So that sounds great. Now moving on from there, we're going to talk about landing points or landing zones on the map. So you may have noticed when we see a picture of the map every now and then, I'm pretty sure Nessus is the only one they've ever really shown us in terms of the map. But whenever they flash it, occasionally, if you look closely, you'll see some different zones around the map designated as landing zones. So theoretically, these are areas that you could fly in on your ship. That's where you could start patrolling or where you could start exploring the world from. So landing points, they're not all unlocked when you first visit a planet. So that's first and foremost. This is what Rob had to say. When you first go to a planet, you're not going to see very much. We really want the sense of exploration of starting in an area and looking at all of the things that are there and moving to the next area and slowly uncovering the entire destination. As you complete adventures or story missions or other content, you're unlocking landing zones, and more of the places will open up. Some of it will be higher level, and you might wander into it and then realize that you're probably not supposed to be here yet. So there's a real progression to the spaces that opens up over time. And then, like I said, with the world quests, and there's a couple of other things that have this property too. When you go back after finishing the main campaign, there's even more stuff to do on the destination that you might not have seen before. So Brent, what do you think about that idea, man? I actually really like that. I like the idea of going into a map and it's kind of a clean slate when you get there, and you gotta kind of unlock it. It's almost like a mini version of what you would do in something like Assassin's Creed, where you'd have to climb to the top of the tower to unlock the area or see all the missions that are available in that area. So it sounds like we're gonna have to do some exploration to really unlock what there is to do in the world. What do you think about that concept for Destiny 2's open world here?
I think that's good. I think like you mentioned, it forces you to explore more. It forces you to go around looking and stumbling across lost sectors and stumbling across world quests. It kind of gets you out there. It just makes you go out and explore things, makes you search for stuff. And and I can't help but wonder, there's one thing we always talked about Destiny. It's always fun with friends. It's always better with friends. When you add all this stuff in here, I'm going to have a lot to do when you guys aren't on now. I think this also plays to the crowd that wants a single-player experience, that wants to be able to jump in there. Because, before in Destiny, when you were playing solo, you're doing the bounties and you're doing the same little things over and over in each area. Whereas this, dude, I can jump into this by myself. You guys aren't around. Nobody's playing right now. Cool. I can jump in here, wander about, do world quests, unlock new landing zones, explore the game. This is. I think this is Bungie's way of saying, okay, look, yes, this game is meant to be with friends. This is a lot of fun with friends. But here, look, you're playing solo. We got a lot of stuff for you to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like there's different tiers to this stuff as well, like we were talking about with the public events. Like if you're rolling into a public event with your group, maybe you tag that heroic trigger, and then you go in there and try to handle the big boys. So yeah, I think there's definitely an element, from what we're talking about here, that sounds like it's going to be conducive to a better single player experience. Bender, what do you think about what we're talking about with landing zones, and kind of this idea of unlocking the map and going around and searching it and trying to figure out what's there instead of just kind of showing up and everything's dotted on the map for you?
I like that a lot. It sounds like a mechanic similar to a traditional open world game where you kind of have to explore the map. You unlock these new warp points or whatever, or fast travel points, and then from then on you don't have to walk the whole way every time. You just you can, if there's a specific thing you need to get to, you can just go to the nearest point that you've discovered. I think that sounds really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to getting in there and exploring the map and finding all the things and doing all the stuff.
And if these areas are indeed bigger than Destiny 1's areas, there's some pretty big areas in Destiny 1. Like as I've been going through working on my Ages of Triumph record book, like just going through places like Mars, just some of these areas are just enormous in Destiny 1. And the fact that they're going to be even bigger in Destiny 2, it's going to be really helpful to have different landing points to be able to come in there and tackle some of these different areas. Now, the next concept we're going to talk about is very exciting, and it's this idea of flashpoints. So, here's what Rob had to say about flashpoints. So, we knew going into Destiny 2 that we wanted to create a big weekly activity with an awesome reward that everybody could do, and that's focused more on the open world, kind of a counterpoint to, say, the Nightfall each week. We spent a long time exploring different ways in which we could present that. Ultimately, we realized that public events are one of the most exciting pieces of content that we have, especially with the heroic events and a couple of other things that we're not even talking about yet. So every week, we pick one destination, and we give you an objective to go to that destination and clear out public events. After you've cleared out the public events, you come back and you get a pretty awesome reward for it. But there's a few other things that are going on as well. So Cade each week sells a bunch of treasure maps for you to find, and those are always on whatever the featured destination is for the flashpoint. And then there's a bunch of secret bosses that you can only trigger and summon when that destination is the flashpoint week. And most of these things are related to the public events. So if you're able to finish a public event quickly, or if you trigger the heroic version of the public event, you might get an extra boss that comes stomping in. And those guys drop extra rewards as well. And then there's a couple of other things that occurred during that week, which he didn't explain any further. So all in all, our goal is that every single week there's a featured destination in Destiny 2, and you go there and you spend a ton of time traveling around and exploring, getting really familiar with it, and then the next week rolls around and it's some new place, and it helps keep the game fresh. So, a lot of stuff in here with flashpoints. Brent, talk to me about some of these ideas, man. So we're talking about big weekly activity that spans an entire destination, centered around public events. Every week the destination's new. There's these treasure maps from Cade. There's also things that they're not even talking about. They're going to be part of flashpoints. There's secret bosses that you can summon. Talk to me about what you're hearing about flashpoints.
Dude, are you guys overwhelmed yet by all this stuff we're going to have to do? I mean, seriously, it's so hard to sit back and just listen. We just went over 6 different things that are just going that aren't just little filler things. These are expansive. I'm overwhelmed, dude. I can't even think about what you're talking about. There's just another boss on top of the heroic. I mean, it's just like, what the hell? How many bosses are going to come stomping on us at once? This is just, it's overwhelming. It really is. I never thought I would say that the Destiny 2 was going to be overwhelming, but everything that you're talking about here, just more loot, more rare enemies, more rare bosses, stuff that you're only going to see once in a great while. That's just incredible, dude. Like, I just, for them to make this big of a step from Destiny 1 is just, it's baffling to me and it's overwhelming.
Yeah. It does sound like it could be overwhelming, but it also sounds like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And so Bender, what are your thoughts on these flashpoints, man? And one of the things, the kind of I think underappreciated aspects of Destiny 1 were some of these unique things that they did was with they were basically public events, but things like the Taken when they, I forgot what they call it, the Taken like corruption, like when they corrupt an area in Destiny 1. So you've got all of these Taken that spawn, these different champions that spawn. You have to take them out, and then a huge Taken boss comes onto the scene, and these dudes are beefy. Like they take a lot of dudes to bring down. And I love those encounters. They had an opportunity to give you like some sweet loot. So I like to see stuff like that, and it sounds like we're going to be getting some elements of that with Destiny 2 here. But what do you think about what we're hearing about this Flashpoint concept, man?
I think it sounds really cool. I agree with Brent though. It sounds almost overwhelming. It's it's like they're adding layers upon layers of content for us to. It's like you've got public events and you've got heroic public events and you've got Flashpoint like with epic bosses that come out and lots of stuff to keep us busy. But I mean, like you said in the quote there, I mean, it's going to keep the game fresh. There's going to be so much stuff to do. It's going to take a long time for things to get stale, if they ever do at all. So I mean, we're definitely going to be busy with Destiny 2 for a long time to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brent, there's things we haven't even talked about, man. Bungie mentioned several times. Rob mentioned several times in these things that we went over. Like, yeah, we're not talking about that, or there's extra stuff that does this as well that we're not talking about. So there's things we don't even know about this game yet. We haven't, not even to mention the raid. I haven't even mentioned the raid yet. So the raid is going to be a piece of content that when all is said and done, it's probably going to take us 8, 9, 10 hours to get through it our first time through when we get in there and try and work with it. So that's a whole nother piece of content that we don't even know anything about yet. And I'd imagine that's probably going to go live. Man, I don't know if they'll do it that Friday because the game's coming out on Wednesday, but at least by the following Friday, like that thing, or maybe even the following Tuesday, like that thing's going to go live. And there's probably going to be some people that are already ready for it because that's the kind of people that play this game. They're just nuts. But, man, there's just, this is all like, this is what we want from Destiny 2, man. Like this is what we asked for. So, there's a group of people out there that are like Destiny 2 is just more of Destiny 1. And from a gameplay perspective, that's probably right. But that's the one thing that you wanted to carry over from Destiny 1. But when you take into account all of this stuff that's going on, all of the stuff that they're doing with Destiny 2, and how they're really just kind of responding to all of the criticisms and things that they heard in regards to Destiny 1, like how can you not be excited about this game, man?
It's impossible. I mean, you talk about everything we just talked about. How many strike missions did Destiny 1 launch with? 4 or 5?
I don't remember. Yeah, it's probably around that.
If not more. I mean, we haven't even talked about how many strike missions we're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even looked at those. I mean, mean, you start thinking about, and then toss in the Crucible. Let's talk about the main story missions. You add all that into it. There is going to be a lot to do in Destiny 2, man. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, really just watching that video, I was just jacked. I was like, oh man, like seeing all of this, like seeing all this stuff about the open world and about what we're going to be able to do out there. Like this is the stuff I was excited about the most for Destiny 2. And I really, really like what I'm hearing about this. And, I can't wait to like land on that planet for the first time and start going around exploring some of the stuff and meeting some of these guys and getting these quests and finding a lost sector and going through that. Like this is exciting stuff, man. We really can't wait for September 6th to come around.
Oh yeah.
But we're not done, Brent. We got more Destiny 2 stuff to talk about. So also this week they unveiled Cold Heart, a brand new exotic in Destiny 2, and this is a sweet-looking weapon. It's the first weapon of its kind. They're calling it a trace rifle. So that's kind of its archetype. From what I understand, this is the only one in the game, at least when we first get in here. And this thing's basically a laser beam. It just shoots out a constant laser. It's like something you'd find in a Housemarque game. It's just a straight laser that just carves through people. And it's an arc-based weapon, but it's based around this idea of this kind of like cold fusion or whatever, and it shoots out this almost ice beam that tears through enemies. And it's actually going to be a pre-order bonus. So if you pre-order the game, you'll have access to Cold Heart before everybody else does. The game, the gun itself will be available to everybody starting in December. But to those of you that pre-order it, I'm not sure if there'll be a quest or something to pick it up. I imagine they won't just give it to us. Typically, that's how this works. But we'll see. Bender, what do you think about this Cold Heart rifle, though, man? You down to have a trace rifle in your arsenal?
Yeah, I saw that trailer for that gun. I was like, ooh, I'm glad I pre-ordered. I'm gonna get that thing. That looks awesome.
Is it a power weapon or is it an energy weapon? It sounds like a power weapon.
It's got to be a power weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
no
way you're
it's-
describing how it's just cutting through people. I imagine this is a power weapon.
Yeah, I would imagine that this is probably going to play a role similar to something like the Sleeper Simulant did in Destiny 1, where just like this power weapon that could really like take it to bosses.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how practical this is going to be in like the moment-to-moment enemy encounters.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in the middle of a huge boss encounter, or maybe at the end of one of these lost sectors or these heroic public events, like being able to pull this thing out and like carve into like the weak spot of a boss is probably going to be pretty useful. Did you check out this trailer, Brent?
I actually did. I saw some screenshots of people posting on Twitter, and I did think, I was like, man, that thing looks badass. I'm glad I pre-ordered this game, but I didn't get to see it in action. But from what you're saying, it sounds like it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, just a straight laser death ray. So it'll be interesting to see how like the ammo works with that and whatnot. What they consider to be an ammo or how it works, or maybe it'll be something like Icebreaker. It'll just kind of replenish over time. Don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Yeah, but Cold Heart looks rad. Really like the design on that gun too. It's a Omalon gun from that foundry. But yeah, I think it's a cool looking piece of tech. Moving on from there, we got a new PvP mode unveiled this week, and Brent, this is once again going to be something right up your alley. It's called Survival, and this is a very intense PvP Crucible mode. This is going to be found in the competitive playlist, so alongside with the countdown mode,
Mm-hmm.
which we were playing in the beta, this is going to be that type of mode. So you're spawning in, and each group has a certain amount of lives that's shared between everybody.
Oh, okay.
So you got 2 squads of 4, and basically there's 8 lives that go between all 4 of you. So either you're the guy that runs out there and dies a whole bunch and uses up all the lives on your team, or you guys are kind of tactically moving across the map, trying to make sure that you conserve these lives because you only have a limited amount of them. The map that they showed, they unveiled a new map to the Altar of Flame, I believe it was called.
Mm-hmm.
It's set on Mercury, and the way this map is set up, there's one power ammo spawn point in the middle of the map that's designed to draw out encounters. So if you can figure out a way to control that middle section and control that spot around the power ammo, then you're going to have a leg up on the competition. You're going to be able to kind of take out some of these guys and whittle their lives down. Brent, what do you think about this idea of survival, man? It sounds like it's going to be intense.
Yeah, really intense. And those are the modes where I hate being the guy that burns up all the extra lives. So
Yeah.
It's a mode you're going to want to think twice about your actions. You're not going to want to run around like a maniac. You're going to want to take your time, work as a team, call stuff out. But yeah, that's a very challenging mode, and you got to really be on the same page with your teammates.
Yeah. No, Bender, I'm excited to get out here and try out some of these modes, man. Because with this 4-on-4, it's going to be the 4 of us. It's going to be me, you, Brent, and Frankie. Like all 4 of us can jump in there as a short pause squad. The communication is going to be on point, So it's going to be exciting to get into something like survival and coordinate our attacks and make sure we're not just running out there and losing all of our lives. What do you think about survival, man? Is this a mode you would play?
I'll definitely try it. I would probably be the one who would let everyone down and keep dying. And be like, oh, now we're out of lives. Thanks, Bender.
Well, dude, not if I'm on the team. Like we all,
Yeah, give yourself some credit, Bender.
we all know my role as Team Bullet Sponge. So I'm out there taking the licks where everybody else can't. But yeah, but like the video of the match they showed how people, the Titans were strategically putting up their barriers, and you got to think about where the Warlocks are going to place their rift and whatnot. So there's a lot of cool strategies that are going to come into play in some of these modes, and I think especially in something like survival. Also this week, Bungie had a little AMA on IGN where they answered a few things here and there. There were nothing huge that we didn't know previously. But the one thing they did mention is that swords are going to be in Destiny 2.
Nice.
So we haven't seen any swords up to this point. So I know at least I was unsure whether or not there was going to be swords in the game. But so one of the questions on here they asked was, is there any reason as to why we didn't see a theater mode in Destiny 1? Will it be included in Destiny 2? And will we at least still be able to use the sword glitch to make fan films? So this is what Mark Noseworthy had to say. Destiny 2 doesn't feature a theater mode. I don't know for certain if the sword glitch still functions. We've changed a lot of the code and content under the hood for how things work, including swords, of which there are now many types. End quote. So, I don't know. What do you make of that, Brent? Like, we haven't heard about anything about swords up to this point. So in this question here about a theater mode, Mark Noseworthy throws that out there, and he says there's swords, yeah, and there's many types now. What do you make of that?
I mean, obviously, he wouldn't mean like elemental damage because we had all that. I don't know how you can go different sword types. Unless some are daggers or some are battle swords, some are like regular swords. I mean, you got all those different things that you could have, but I don't know what he means by types.
Yeah, does he simply mean aesthetically, or does he mean like the way the actual weapon works? Like, are some of these like you have a lightsaber maybe that you can throw, or
oh man, I hope so.
Like stuff like that. What do you make of that comment, Bender? And are you excited that swords are back?
Oh yeah, definitely. I love swords. I expected swords were still going to be in the game. The only indication to me was that they were still in the game was in the Homecoming mission when you run into Shaxx and he opens the armory. He's got a sword on his back. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess swords are still in the game. But I mean, that wouldn't automatically mean that. But I just assumed.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Also, the Dawn Blade too is basically like basically wielding a sword at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
When you pop that.
Yes, yeah. Swords are awesome and very useful to have, and as long as the power ammo it drops enough to keep the sword ammo up, I think that'll be really cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to using different swords.
Yeah, I use swords a lot in Destiny, so super excited that they're in Destiny 2. Something else I thought was interesting, and I'm sure you guys probably felt this as well, but in that Homecoming mission, like when you have to get in there and take out that turbine, that is such a pain in the ass. I died so many times trying to jump over that thing, or the thing was like hitting me from behind, and I'm trying to get over, like I can't jump far enough. I'm trying to get over to where I need to get to hit the different points on that turbine. So Bungie has felt your pain on this, and that's actually already been adjusted in the build of the game that we're at right now. So sounds like there's only going to be one arm swinging around in that area now instead of the two arms.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll be honest with you guys. I think I died once, but I saw the error of my ways. I knew what I did wrong. I didn't think it was that difficult.
I didn't have a ton of difficulty with it either, except for like the first time I went in there. I didn't know that you could jump down in there, so I was getting frustrated because I was like trying to shoot everything. I was like, "What am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do." Then I figured out I was supposed to jump in there and shoot, the turbines, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, other than that, I mean, after I figured out what to do, I didn't have a ton of trouble.
No, I mean, once I realized you had to shoot those gears, I walked in the room, just dropped down to the first one, shot it, waited for the lower bar to come over top of me. As soon as it went over top of me, I just jumped up on the ledge, ran to the next one. I mean, even by the time I got to the next one, the other side of the leg hadn't come around to me. So I dropped down there, shoot that one, then wait for the lower one to go over my head, jump up, follow it around, and drop down. And I didn't think it was difficult. When I seen that people were saying, that they were like, "Oh, it's been made much easier," I was like, I didn't see the difficulty in that.
Me neither.
Well, I did. I seriously died like 10
surprising
times.
Absolutely nobody.
I seriously died like 10 times in that room, and I was like, what in the hell is going on? Like, I just want to jump over this thing and get over there.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I just couldn't get over the arm. I just kept getting hit by it. But this is what Luke Smith had to say about that section. So, quote, "I was surprised by the turbine because there's only one turbine spinning in the shipping game. And I was surprised to see two of them." So he's talking about the beta. That's a great example of something that we implemented. We found it to be too challenging, especially for that opening sequence of the game. And in the shipping game, we've removed it. So There will only be one arm in that section in the actual shipping version of Destiny 2.
See, I liked the second arm because like when I was down in the pit and when obviously they're going in different directions, but as the bottom one is going this way and that's the one I'm going to follow, when I jump up, I had to make sure I jump just right because I didn't want the other one coming this way to take my head off. So, I mean, I didn't think it was different. I thought it was kind of, a nice little challenge. Like, you got to time out your jump a little bit. You got to be a little careful. You can't go crazy with your jumping. But again, I thought it was cool with two. I might be kind of disappointed that they take that one out because I thought it looked cool having two of them going in opposite directions. I thought it was nice.
Yeah.
Well, I am going to take the one arm and run with it. So, Luke, you get a thumbs up from me. Thanks, buddy. All right, and our final bit of Destiny 2 news for the week. We've got some PC stuff here. So the PC beta for Destiny begins August 28th for early access, and the open beta for everyone else will begin August 29th. We also have the minimum specs for the PC version. So minimum specs, Intel Core i3-3250 or an AMD FX 4350, and then a GeForce GTX 660 or a Radeon HD 7850. Minimum RAM calls for just 6 gigabytes.
Wow.
So these are very, very manageable stats. I could probably even run this on my PC, which is old. So the recommended specs are an i5 2400 or a Ryzen R5 1600X, and either a GTX 970 or an R9 390 graphics card with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So it's important to note, too, that the machine that Bungie used at their event was just a behemoth of a machine. It was an i7 7700 with a GTX 1080 Ti 11 gigabyte video card. So this is a very expensive piece of tech that not everybody's going to have in their PC. So keep that in mind if you're planning to run this game at 4K or whatnot. So other than that, Brent, just jacked for Destiny 2, dude. It's going to be a long, month, 5 weeks here, but there's a lot of games that we're going to have to play in between that time, so trying to take my mind off of it, playing some of this other stuff. But jacked for Destiny 2, man.
It's not going to be an easy wait, dude, but it's coming. It's getting closer, and I'm with you guys. I'm ecstatic for this. This is going to be a good time. Everyone's going to have a blast with this, and there's going to be a whole lot to do. It's still overwhelming just to think about, but we're just over a month away. And Destiny 2 will be in my grimy little hands. All right, let's get away from Destiny 2. Let's jump into Bender's favorite series, the Grand Theft Auto series. And Grand Theft Auto 6 actually showed up in an actor's resume. This is spotted by NeoGAF user Chad Skin. Actor Tim Neff had listed motion capture work for both Red Dead Redemption 2 and the very much unannounced Grand Theft Auto 6 on his resume. Obviously motion capture is typically completed some way into game production, which could imply a setting has already been chosen. However, it may also be that stock moves were captured for convenience alongside Neff's work with RD or Red Dead Redemption 2. But since then, actor Tim Neff has publicly stated that the resume posted under his name on Breakdown Express is incorrect and that he does not even have an account on the website to post his resume. So, I don't know if this is a stock response when you throw something out there that you shouldn't. But, it is what it is. I mean, obviously, Tim's working on Red Dead Redemption 2. He works with Rockstar. Whether or not the Grand Theft Auto 6 on his resume is legit or not, I guess, you got to take it at face value. If he says it's not, I'm going to go ahead and just say it's not. But at the same time, if a voice actor puts something out there and says, hey, look, I'm in this game, and then, they could get a call from Rockstar or whoever and be like, hey, can you take that off and cook up some story? Actually cook up this story. And this is where they come up with the, this is not my account. I don't have anything to do with it. So I don't know what to make of it. It is what it is. But, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come at some point. So eventually we're going to start. Yeah. So we're going to start. I mean, the way Grand Theft Auto 5 is selling, maybe not for quite a while. Who knows? But no, I thought that was an interesting story. But Tim jumped out and shot that one down for now.
Yeah, for now. Like you said, man, with 80 million copies of Grand Theft Auto 5 sold or whatever it is, Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming at some point. We don't know when, but it's coming at some point. And I wonder, Brent. GTA 5 is technically a last gen title, right?
Mhm.
It came out on the PS3, on the 360.
Mhm.
Might we see Grand Theft Auto 6 in this generation of systems? Like, might we see it for the PS4 and the Xbox One? Because technically, there hasn't been a Grand Theft specifically made for those machines. Like, we had the GTA games on the PS2, we had GTA 4, GTA 5 on the PS3, Xbox 360 era. Now, it's about we're getting to be 4 years into this current cycle. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that 5-6 years into this cycle we see GTA 6 at some point. They gotta be thinking about that or working on it, right?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, they came out in 2013.
Yeah,
We're 4 years. We're 4 years since that game. I gotta believe that GTA 6. They're probably have already begun, producing the game, or at least the early stages. They had to. They have to.
If I had to guess, they have a small team that's doing upkeep on Grand Theft Auto Online.
Mm-hmm.
But the team that works on Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar, like the amount of money that they've made, like this has to be a sprawling organization at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine there's just hundreds and hundreds of people that work for Rockstar that are working on Grand Theft Auto. And I imagine it'd be very simple for them to take a small core group, have them work on Grand Theft Auto, and put the main guys like, look, let's go. GTA 6 is a go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get cranking on this. And we know Rockstar likes to keep their stuff close to the vest, so we're not going to hear about GTA 6 until it's time.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised, man, if we see Grand Theft Auto 6 sooner rather than later, because I feel like they're going to want to make a game for this generation of consoles.
Well, Take-Two Interactive is teasing a huge title for 2018.
You don't say.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe Grand Theft Auto 6 is a lot closer than we think. I'm going to say no, though. But Take-Two Interactive's CEO Strauss Zelnick teased something big from 2K. Obviously, this is what Strauss had to say. Obviously, fiscal 2019 will look much better with the launch of Red Dead 2 and a huge title from 2K, as well as the 2K sports titles, catalog, recurrent consumer spending, NBA 2K Online in China, Social Point, and the like. This is what Zelnick was telling Game Informer. Boyce, I mean, 2K games. This has got to be Borderlands 3, right?
That was my first thought. Borderlands 3, obviously, Gearbox has been hinting at it, been talking about it for a while now. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we would see Borderlands 3 next year. That was the first game that I thought of, so I'm with you on that one.
I mean, it's coming from 2K. It's a huge title.
Yeah.
Borderlands is a huge franchise. That tells me I'm safest bet would be Borderlands 3.
Yeah, I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, like I think they have access to like BioShock and stuff as well. But with Ken Levine moving on and not having, there's no like team really around the BioShock name right now. And obviously with Gearbox firmly established in what they do, they're probably anxious to start moving on from Battleborn at this point. And I feel like they've been working on Borderlands 3 for a while now. Maybe even have two separate teams at Gearbox who are working on their games now. Not 100% sure how their studio is structured right now. But I feel like in some way, shape, or form, Borderlands 3 has been in development for a while over there, and I don't think a 2018 Borderlands 3 is out of the question at all.
I'm ready for another Borderlands game. I don't know about you, but I love Borderlands. I loved 1 and 2. Benner, have you ever been interested in the Borderlands games?
I've never played any of them, so no clue.
I mean, what do you think, boys? I mean, it's very cartoony. Obviously, you're shooting mutants, so I mean, it's not like terrible stuff, but but I think what Benner would like is the writing. I mean, those games are absolutely hilarious. Hilarious. The characters are hilarious. The writing is hilarious. Even the intros when you go into a boss battle are hilarious. They stop. There's like a freeze frame. They'll throw the boss up and they'll have some like name with some little quirky statement underneath. It's just there's a lot of humor in Borderlands. I think this could squeeze into Bender territory.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you like Battleborn and you like the kind of stuff that they do in that game, you'll love Borderlands. Obviously, it's made by the same people. And the loot system in there as well. So we all played Destiny. We all love stuff like Diablo. We love these like loot based games. So Borderlands, that's what it's all about. It's all about the goofy humor and the loot. So those are two things that Bender likes. So yeah, he'd definitely be down for Borderlands 3.
Yeah, and there's usually 200 gajillion weapons in the game. So that's that's what I love about Borderlands pushes that 200 gajillion weapons. So I hope it's Borderlands 3. I absolutely love that franchise. So hopefully that's what we'll see. I don't think we'll see another Mafia game.
No. Mafia 3 just came out and didn't light the world on fire.
Yeah.
Although from a sales perspective, it did. So
and that's really all that matters sometimes.
It really at the end of the day, that is all that matters. So, but yeah, way too soon for Mafia.
Gonna go with Borderlands 3.
Yep.
All right, up next, Illfonic, the developer behind Friday the 13th, had some splaining to do. Illfonic is actually releasing a new game suit, Dead Alliance. And this led to a lot of fears to fly among the former games community that development would cease on Friday the 13th. However, Illfonic's CEO stepped in to reassure players. This is Chuck Brungart. Brungart? I'm going to say Brungart.
Sure.
That's a sweet name. I'm just going to call him Chuck. Quote, I wanted
Chuck
to...
in the truck.
Chuck in the truck. Not our Chuck. Quote,
Not our Chuck.
I wanted to address the concerns that Illfonic has abandoned Friday the 13th for Dead Alliance. This is 100% not true. Most major and independent studios have multiple teams working on multiple projects at the same time. This is critical for the survival of the studio, especially with the ups and downs with the game industry. Dead Alliance was started way before Friday the 13th. He also goes on to explain that the development of Friday the 13th will actually increase in scope. This is what he had to say. Quote, with the recent success of Friday the 13th, the game, we have been increasing our staff on the title. We originally had about 20 internal team members working on Friday the 13th, and now are up to 30 internal team members. We also have opened a second office that sole purpose is to support development on Friday the 13th, the game. In addition, we are continuing to staff up on more team members for continued support of the game. So we assure you, continued support for Friday the 13th has not been abandoned. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So, relax. It's okay. Friday the 13th. I mean, and you can look at the way they've been patching this game. I mean, these guys are all over Friday the 13th. They are constantly patching it, trying to work out the bugs because they realize they have a hit. This thing sold incredibly well. It sold incredibly well. And, you know, from what I have played, I actually enjoy it. I think it's got some strong elements to it. And once they do work out the bugs, I think that's going to be a game that's going to have some legs. And they're still working on the single-player portion of it. That's due out sometime this summer. So August, hopefully, we'll see it. But, don't worry. They're still working on Friday the 13th. They have multiple teams. A studio like this has two teams. One's been working on Dead Alliance for quite a while. Friday the 13th, the game isn't going anywhere. They still got a lot of work to do on it. They're continuously adding patches to squash the bugs that are there. But no, they're not going away from Friday the 13th. The game just got way too big. I think it's bigger than they expected it to be, so they got to support it.
I'm confused a little bit by a couple things here. Mm-hmm. First off, you mentioned there, obviously, the single-player portion of the game still not available. So we're still sitting here wondering what's going on with that. And I had no idea when we talked about Dead Alliance last week that this was the same guys making Dead Alliance that were making Friday the 13th.
I don't think a lot of people knew. I think it broke last week. I mean, once they found out Illfonic was working, everyone was like, what? No. So, that kind of broke. And that's when everyone started speculating, like, man, are they done with Friday the 13th? Like, how big is this studio?
Yeah. And Dead Alliance does not look like a great game. Like watching that in action, I was like, wow, this looks incredibly generic, and I have literally zero interest in this title. So I don't know how Dead Alliance is going to turn out. But also Chuck's assertion that he says most major and independent studios have multiple teams working on multiple projects at the same time.
I don't know about all that.
I don't know how many independent studios have multiple teams working on multiple projects at the same time. And maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm just ignorant of it. But some of these teams are very small teams, and I don't know that they can afford to have multiple projects going at the same time.
Well, judging the shape that Friday the 13th launched in, maybe they shouldn't have multiple teams. Maybe they should just focus on one project.
That's kind of what I'm getting at here with that. It's like Supergiant has like 12 people on their staff, right? Mm-hmm. And while while it's probably, I'm sure they have people that are doing concepting all the time. I don't know that they would ever have a situation where those 12 people are actively working on more than one project simultaneously, really heavy. So, I don't know about all that. But like I said, this might be just something I'm just ignorant of. But yeah, have any of these patches made a difference, man? Have made a difference? Has Friday the 13th gotten any better in terms of its technical stuff?
I mean, like I said, from what I'm going to be a lot different than other folks when they play this game. I mean, there's two different audiences for Friday the 13th. There's people that really like this game, flaws and everything, and there's other people who expect like perfection out of a game, which is rightfully so. I mean, you pay for a game and you should expect it to work. But there's definitely two audiences here. I like it. I really enjoyed it. There were some things that I didn't like. Some of the issues I had with it have been kind of alleviated or at least tuned up a little bit, so it's not as obvious. But from the nostalgia perspective and from playing a type of game like that where you're working as a team to try to avoid Jason, who is OP, which he should be. It's exhilarating. It's awesome. It's nostalgic. I love those types of movies. They nail the atmosphere. They nail Jason. Everything about that game is just cool to me, even though with all its imperfections. But there's going to obviously be another audience that just says, it doesn't matter how many patches they put out. This character, the animations are dodgy. They're kind of cheap looking. I mean, there's going to be people that demand that type of stuff. For me, it's all about the gameplay, and I really enjoy the gameplay aspect of it. Like I said, imperfections and all.
Yeah, it's actually on sale right now. It's part of a PlayStation Plus promotion.
How much is it going for?
Don't know. Considering taking a look at it, but haven't pulled the trigger yet.
If you do, let me know. I got a couple of guys that actually play that, and it's fun. If you can get a crew and create your own lobby. Man, it's hilarious. I mean, it's seriously a blast when you can hear people, because it's got proximity chat. So if you're playing as Jason, you hear people in a house and they're looking for stuff, and then you just kind of like, I did this once, it was hilarious. I just walked up to the window and just stood there, and like these people are looking, all of a sudden somebody they go, you could just hear them scream. It was hilarious. Like, man, we gotta get out of here. Just hearing the panic in their voice was just hysterical. So like I said, there's some cool elements if you play together with friends and you jump into a lobby and you just go with it, man. It's like a Friday the 13th movie. You don't take it seriously. You just have a good time with it.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's it for Illfonic. Boys, let's jump into the world of PlayStation. What's going on with Sony, man?
Yeah, let's start with Hellblade, man. So new Hellblade trailer came out this week.
Man.
And why don't you tell me about that trailer, Brent?
Dude, I still don't. I mean, I kind of got the gist of the story. You play as, what's her name, Sasuna?
Yeah.
Sasuna or something along those lines? Basically, her lover was killed, and his soul has been pulled down to this Viking hell, and she's going after him. She's going after her lover's soul, and just the trailer. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched it. I thought the trailer was, for us, obviously, there's not a lot of gameplay in it. It's a story trailer. But I just thought it was a very impactful story trailer. I mean, the music, you got to see the motion capture is very, very well done. A lot of emotion in the character's face. I mean, you see everything from her crying to kind of like, dude, there's one shot that's so awesome where this dragon's approaching her. And the way she's just like walking, looking at it, like she's a badass. It's like, okay, this chick's cool as hell. Like, I think she looks like a sweet character. But just this soundtrack and the music that was playing, I just thought it was an incredible story trailer. Like I saw it earlier today, and I wouldn't shut up about it with you guys. It's seriously, honestly, it's probably one of the best story trailers I've seen this year in the last couple of years. I just thought it was an incredible trailer, man. I really think this game looks cool.
Yeah, you mentioned the soundtrack in there is awesome. It's a really, really well done trailer. And the other thing that they detailed this week was PlayStation 4 Pro support, which is exciting because it sounds like they're taking the Surge route with their Pro support. Yep. So you're going to have one option, which is the higher resolution and the lower frame rate, and then one option, which is the 1080p 60 option. And if you've ever seen a Ninja Theory game in action at 60 frames per second, this is like a sight to behold. Like watching DMC run on like the definitive version or the PC version of the game, watching that run at 60 frames and that high octane action that game does so well, just watching that play out smoothly is an awesome sight to behold. And Hellblade is going to have some intense combat when it's all said and done. So being able to have that run at 60 frames on the PlayStation 4 Pro is an awesome feature. So that's really cool. And man, it's hard to believe that this is an independent game, Brent. Like this is Ninja Theory. They're not, this isn't like a Sony game. Like this is a Ninja Theory game that they're developing, basically in-house by themselves. And, this is, they mentioned this when they talked about Hellblade, but this is like a AAA game that's being developed independently.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they can pull this off, if they can create a AAA game as an independent studio, like that's going to be quite the feat.
Mm-hmm.
And if Hellblade turns out anything like this trailer looks, or like what we've heard about the game, then we could be in for something special here. And we're just a little over a week away from this coming out now.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty exciting stuff. Bender, you good? Any thoughts on Hellblade, man? You been following this one at all?
Not really. I'm checking out the trailer though. I mean, it looks like a beautiful game. I just don't know much about the story or the gameplay or anything, but definitely impressive graphically.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to tackle some very heavy themes too. It's actually a game developed around this idea of mental illness, and don't know exactly how it factors into everything, or how the story and whatnot is going to play out. But it'll be interesting to see how they tackle that. I hope that they have a deft touch when dealing with that as well. Yeah, really interesting title with Hellblade. Also this week we find out that Dragon Quest XI is coming to the West. This is no great surprise. We all expected this to be the case, but now it's officially confirmed. So, Dragon Quest X is the MMO game, and Dragon Quest XI is like kind of the next proper installment in the Dragon Quest saga. So, Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age will be coming west next year. Square Enix has confirmed. We don't know anything about the game other than that. In Japan, it's slated for PlayStation 4 and 3DS. It actually just came out yesterday as we're recording this on the PlayStation 4 and 3DS. So I would imagine that those are the platforms it's going to come over for in the West here. So be on the lookout for that if you're a Dragon Quest fan. Brent, this week we got our first taste of what we can expect from Call of Duty World War II. In terms of the beta that's coming out, we're just under 30 days from the beta becoming available. And they mentioned they've got these new divisions that are going to be in the game now, and all 5 of them are going to be included in the beta when it hits sometime in probably towards the end of August here. But they went over things like the armored division. They specialize in laying down offense. So these are kind of like the tanks of the group, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've got these things. So each division has a skill, and it has a training. So the armored division, their skill is they can protect territory by mounting their machine gun on ledges or while prone for less recoil. Their training is they're immune to shell shock and tactical equipment. Take less fire damage, take less explosive damage. Then you've got the mountain division. These guys sound like they're more stealthy. They remain undetected. This division excels at covert operations and stealth gameplay. Their skill: block out your surroundings and in return acquire aim assist and enemy names while holding breath. Their training: invisible to enemy recon aircraft while moving, hidden to player controlled streaks, quieter movement. Interesting division there. Then you've got the airborne division. This maneuverable division is usually the first to the fight, parachuting into the thick of the action. So their skill: hides muzzle flash and prevents gunfire from appearing on enemy minimaps, but reduces range of weapons. Their training: sprint for longer distances, climb over obstacles faster, increase sprint speed. The expeditionary division: they're armed with a hearty supply of explosives and tactical equipment. The fighters specialize in sabotage, infiltration, and close quarters combat. Their skill: shotgun shells that spark flames that burn enemies. Their training: select a piece of tactical and lethal equipment. Throw equipment faster, farther, and while sprinting. Resupply equipment from killed enemies. And the final division is the infantry division. As all-around combat specialists, the infantry division emphasizes marksmanship and rarely misses their shots. Their skill: special training on the use of the bayonet makes infantry riflemen a threat at all ranges. Their training: additional attachment on primary weapons, extra magazines, move faster while aiming down the sights. So Brent, what do you think about this, man? What do you think about the way that they're taking this class-based system with World War II? And specifically, what do you think about some of these divisions that we've heard about here? So 5 divisions in total. We'll be able to test these out with the beta when it launches later in August. What are your thoughts on the route they're taking here?
It's definitely a new approach, and I'm all for it. I mean, they've over the years we've seen them change the perk system. We've seen how you can assign perks, and it sounds like these perks are kind of tied to these divisions now. I'm really interested in checking this out, especially the mountain class. That's my class right there, stealth, and I'm
not showing up on the radar.
Yeah, that's what I need. So, no, I'm really excited to check this out. This sounds great. I mean, it's new, it's fresh, and it's what Call of Duty needs.
Definitely sounds interesting. I'll be able to check that out later in August. Looks like August 26th or something around there. So we'll be able to test out the beta. Now also this week we got a date for Mages of Mistralia. So Bender, this is a joint that you played at PAX. It's an exciting looking title. I actually backed this on Kickstarter. So I'll be in on this when it comes out on the 22nd. So like I mentioned a little bit ago, this is another game that's in this mix of all of these like awesome games that are coming out. So it unfortunately releases the same day as Uncharted. So it's kind of a sad release date for Mages, but what do you think, man? Mages of Mistralia is a kind of almost a Legend of Zelda kind of game, right? With some Harry Potter influences.
Yeah, that's how the when I was talking to the developers at PAX South, that's how they described it. Harry Potter meets Legend of Zelda, and that's a pretty apt description. I mean, it's kind of a top down, kind of a cartoony art style type of thing where you're exploring and you've got these different abilities that you can use, different magic powers and stuff. But the really cool hook about the game is that you can customize the way your powers act. You've got this grid in this grid menu that you can put in these little tokens that you collect, and they will change the way your powers do things. Like for example, you could have a fire wand. You put in this token that'll make it curve to the right or curve to the left, or make it more powerful, or spread into 3, or all kinds of different options that you can have. So so each power that you have, you equip these modifiers to change the way your power works. So that's really, really interesting. There's I think they said there's like hundreds of different combinations and possibilities for the powers that you can use. So I had a lot of fun with it. And I mean, it's like a kind of a dungeon crawling with like a boss at the end, and all secrets to find and puzzles to solve, and just like an indie Zelda game. And it was really, really interesting. So I think the game has a lot of potential, and I also backed it on Kickstarter, so I'll be getting it whenever it releases. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, from everything I've seen of it, it looks like an awesome game. You've spoken highly of it from the brief time that you've had with it. Other people that have played it that I've read about have really enjoyed the game. So yeah, I'm totally on board for Mages of Mistralia. I think this game looks rad. So it'll just be one more thing I'm bringing home to the PS4 on August 22nd. Another game I'm excited is coming to PlayStation 4 is Graceful Explosion Machine. So that comes out August 8th. This is a game that has been on the Switch for a little while now. Like the way it looked over there. It's kind of a cartoony version of Resogun almost. It's got some of that kind of flavor to it. So I'm excited to get that one on PS4 and fire it up. I've been looking forward to playing that one. Metronomicon is coming to PS4 on August 29th. This is a mixture of rhythm and role playing game, which is interesting. Night Trap. If you guys remember Night Trap from the Sega CD, this is caused a lot of drama back in its day, but it's probably pretty tame by today's standards. But that's getting a release date, a re-release on the PlayStation 4. I think on August 11th is the date on that. Spark is coming to PlayStation VR on August 29th. This is a kind of a VR like sports kind of game. We've got there was an event in China this past week where they actually confirmed 4 new games for the PlayStation VR. And these are actually some pretty cool sounding games. So this event was China Joy, and these are the 4 games that they confirmed are coming west for the PlayStation VR. So first is Stifled. So taking on the role of a character who is battling the eerie consequences of a tragic event which has darkened his world. But this is no horror game. The twist is that making noise is the only way you can see the environment around you. Sound familiar, Brent?
Yes.
This immerses the player in the world and encourages tactical sound play using echolocation to reveal your surroundings. Thanks to the headset's built-in mic, you can use your voice to help illuminate the way. as well as interact with items you find. So you can actually use your voice to create the sound to in terms of the echolocation.
That's
So
cool.
it's interesting. Then there's the Walker. From Chinese developer Haymaker comes the Walker, a fantasy combat tale that plays out in virtual reality. You are the distant descendant of an ancient family whose mystical mix of swordsmanship and sorcery hasn't diminished to the ages, which is just as well the world needs saving from a demonic militia. And there's Kill X. Adding to China's burgeoning reputation as a PSVR hotbed comes Kill X from Viva Games, a claustrophobic thriller set on a secret island. You'll uncover horrifying experiments on human subjects by an organization determined to realize immortality no matter the cost. Finally, we have Legion Commander. In this real-time strategy game from Changyu Games, you'll select a commander and form an army, picking units with specialized attributes to steamroll the battlefield. You'll also use special cards to cast spells on the battlefield brought to life by PlayStation VR. So, Brent, we got 4 very different sounding experiences here.
Mhm.
And the one thing that's exciting for me is that we keep seeing posts like this. We keep hearing about stuff like this where there's all these new games that are in development for VR, and people are embracing the technology and trying to create new experiences and new games for it. So I love seeing stuff like this. I hope that VR continues to flourish and continues to evolve, and that this becomes something that that becomes more and more palpable moving forward.
Mhm.
But what do you think about these 4 games that we're talking about here?
All of them very unique experiences. I mean, and that's what we want. We don't want just first person shooters. I mean, even though
Mhm.
those are the ones that sell, it's these unique experiences that aren't your typical, VR experience that you would expect from first person perspective. And there's I've been playing Tiny Tracks. I mean, that's a sweet VR experience. It looks really cool. It's like you're actually watching or driving in front of these tracks and such. I mean, all these different types of experiences are what I want from VR. I don't want just one type. I want all sorts of types. And these 4 titles here provide different, unique experiences.
Mhm. What do you think, Bender? Are you happy with like the current state of VR? Like, do you like this kind of experimentation and people trying all these different experiences and not necessarily honing in on this one type of experience? Like, not every game has to be a first person shooter in VR. There's a lot of people trying a lot of different things, and it can be exciting. Like Brent mentioned, trying to experience all these different things and see what works and what doesn't. Do you like where VR is at currently in that respect?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the way it has to be for a
Mhm.
while because VR is still a very burgeoning experience in the gaming space. So the developers are still kind of getting their feet wet and figuring out what works and what doesn't. So there's going to be experiences that really work and really click with VR with gamers, and there's going to be experiences that don't. And
Mhm.
until the developers kind of figure all that out, it's going to be it's going to be like that with a lot of different experiments going on. But I think that's going to be good in the end for us, for them to really know what's really works with the VR, and then that's going to lead to some awesome experiences down the
Mhm.
road.
I think all that stuff that you're talking about right now, like the experimental stuff, is integral to the future of
Mhm.
VR because it can help them weed out what stuff doesn't work, what stuff does work, and then they use that when they plan their next big title. And that's the one they can put all the effort forward. That's the one that can be the real risk in terms of financial stability. It's just, yeah, these experiments are integral to the future of VR. You can't just have a developer come out to spend a ton of money on a game they're not sure it's going to pan out in VR. They have to do these smaller titles first to find out what works and what doesn't before they can move on to the big one.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you guys 100%. And as a as a as an adult now at this point in my life with a family, with kids, with job, like we all have, it's actually kind of cool that I know that I can pick up a VR game and I can play through it in a couple hours,
Mhm.
and I'll have experienced that, and then I can move on to something else, either in VR or otherwise. So I don't mind the situation there, like you guys mentioned. This is a necessary evil. This is where we're at in terms of the VR development. Where it's a fledgling technology. We're in at the ground level, and it's exciting to be here from the very beginning. Like
Mhm.
we're here with the very first headsets that came out. We're here while developers are experimenting and they're figuring out what works and what doesn't. And we're getting all of these quirky experiences, and sometimes we're gonna get an experience that isn't great, like Arizona Sunshine, and
Mm.
we're all like puking on ourselves. Or we're gonna get stuff that's awesome, like Eve Valkyrie, and we're gonna be like, man, this is like the future right here. Like
Mhm.
sitting in the cockpit of the starship, flying around, and, like blasting enemies. Like this is so awesome.
Mhm.
So and that's kind of the way it's gonna be for a little while. And I think for the most part, like people that bought VR units or that have bought a VR unit at this point, like they knew that that's what they were getting into.
Mhm.
Like they're educated enough, they're smart enough to realize this is a brand new technology, and we're in on the ground floor of something that could be very special. And we're just kind of along for the ride now. So
Mhm.
it's exciting in that respect. Final bit of PlayStation news here. There's a PlayStation Plus price hike in the UK or in Europe. So the annual subscription is rising in the UK from £39.99, that's pounds, to £49.99. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
I think you are.
Do you put the pounds before? Do you put the pounds after? I don't know what the hell's going on here. The 3-month subscription goes from $14.99 to $19.99, and the monthly option goes from $5.99 to $6.99. In Europe, this is the euro now. We'll go from $49.99 to $59.99. For the yearly option, $19.99 to $24.99 for the quarter, and $6.99 to $7.99 for the 1 month sub. So I ask you this, Brent. Not obviously we're in North America here, so these prices don't affect us. And it should be noted here too that PlayStation Plus prices did not rise in Europe when they did here
Right.
in the States.
Mhm.
So they did not get a price difference when we did over here. So this is kind of bringing everything in parity almost at
Mhm.
this point. So I ask you this: is this simply that, or is this a precursor to something else, possibly that we're going to see in this upcoming 5.0 firmware, which we've heard a lot of rumblings about? We didn't get to talk about this on the last show because we ran out of time, but the next firmware for the PlayStation 4 is soon to be out. And starting early next month, beta testers are going to be in, and we're going to get an idea of just what this thing has to entail. And there's a lot of rumors and a lot of stuff floating out about there about possibly PlayStation Now being a part of PlayStation Plus moving forward. So we'll have to see how all this plays out. But so is this simply just a case of Europe catching up with North America, or is this alluding to something else? What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think
Yeah.
I think this is catching Europe up, getting Europe caught up with us. And we talked about, we've seen some stuff from this week that we think, or that there's rumors that PlayStation Now is finally, after 3 E3 predictions, going to get rolled into PlayStation Plus. And I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if this is why they've been increasing the price, preparing to roll this into Plus. Boys, what's your thoughts? And do you think this is what they might be going to?
I think it could be, and one of the interesting things about PlayStation Now is that it's not available worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's prevalent through all of Europe, or this is something that they haven't gotten over there yet. I'm not sure, but there are some places that PlayStation services that don't have access to PlayStation Now. So if this is something that they're adding into PlayStation Plus, they would then too have to launch PlayStation Now like worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that it's available in all of the markets if it's going to be a benefit of the Plus service. So, so this could be a precursor of things to come. I don't know. I'm kind of with you. I think it might be a little bit of both. And hopefully we see some cool stuff with this firmware 5.0 update.
Are any of you guys signed up for the beta? Bender, did you ever sign up for any of those betas for the firmware?
No, I'm not a big proponent of testing out operating systems for betas. I've had bad experiences before, so I just avoid it. I'll check it out when it goes live.
Brick your system a week before Destiny 2 drops.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a scary thought.
That's like the worst case scenario. So,
Yeah.
Well, thankfully I'm a loser with 2 PS4s. I'll test it on the base model. I'll leave the Pro alone, and we'll see what 5.0 has to offer.
Yeah, I signed up for it as well. I generally don't sign up for these things. I'm with Bender. Just scared about this unstable operating system being on my unit, but I signed up for it. What the hell? We'll see what happens.
See what happens. Cool. All right, going from PlayStation, we're heading into Nintendo. We're going to Bender's world. First up, Bender, Nintendo records big-time Switch sales. This is Nintendo's best Q1 sales since 2011. That's beefy, dude. It's
Very
impressive.
nice. Mm-hmm.
Nintendo unveiled its Q1 financial results, which covers from April 1st to June 30th, including some solid numbers for the Nintendo Switch and its games. In Q1, the Nintendo Switch sold 1.97 million units. Life to date, 4.7 million units. And hardware sale projections from 2017 to 2018 is sitting at 10 million units. That's what do you think about that, boys?
Yeah, I think it's definitely doable. I mean, we've seen the Switch just come out of the gates on fire. If the fact that they were able to get 4.97 million of these things into people's hands when it's seemingly they're very hard to come by. The fact that they've got almost 5 million of them out there to people is I think a little bit surprising. But yeah, if they can keep up in some way with the demand, they'll easily be able to hit that 10 million.
Benner, how's it make you feel as a Nintendo fan, having to deal with all the crap that the Wii U had to deal with? And I know you still love the Wii U, but you had to sit around and we had to make fun of you a little bit. But here you are, man. Your Nintendo Switch, your baby, is doing very, very well sales-wise. This will obviously lead to a lot more games. This will make it more appealing to third-party studios. How you feeling about your baby, man?
I'm happy to hear it, man. After the Wii U disaster, I mean, I think we talked a lot about this, during those days when, whatever the NX at the time, we talked about how, this needs to be something that's successful for Nintendo, or they may have to leave the hardware business or whatever. It seems like they're really pulling it off so far. It's been doing pretty well. They've had a good clip of solid games releasing almost every month. So I really hope that they're able to keep up this momentum, and I hope that they're able to ramp up their production so people are actually able to find these in stores and so they can actually buy them, because that's going to lead to more games coming out and a healthier ecosystem for the platform. So I think that's awesome, and more power to them. I hope they continue to do well.
And software sales are looking good too. At Q1, 8.14 million units sold, and projections from 2017 to 2018, 35 million units. So they're expecting to push a lot of software. And then Nintendo also chimed in about their mobile division. They gave an exact figure for smart device related income in Q1, actually including money made from the likes of Super Mario Run and Fire Emblem Heroes. Income from this area was 9,062 million yen, which is approximately $81 million US. So they're making some money on the handheld stuff, and they're making a lot of money off the Switch. So Nintendo is doing very, very well from a hardware and software perspective, boys.
Yeah, and they really came out of the gates firing here, and they're basically just crushing life right now with 4.7 million units of the Switch in 3-4 months here we're talking. So very, very, very impressive start for the Switch. Now my question to you is, Brent, is does Nintendo keep this momentum up, and where do they go from here? And the reason I say that is this year, like, Mario's out, Zelda's going to be out, right? So when we get to 2018 and moving forward, like, is Nintendo able to keep this momentum up with their big dogs already out in the wild? So after this, we won't see another new Mario game. We won't see another new Zelda game for a long time. We know that they have some things like Yoshi and Kirby and Metroid Prime is somewhere in the distant future. So that's not coming out next year.
Very distant future.
Yeah, we know that that's not coming out next year. Pokemon could not come out next year. I think that's really the next big, like, really big, like, tentpole game that has the potential to drive adoption in and of itself. But stuff like Yoshi and Kirby, I'm not sure that those are, like, system sellers. Where does the Switch go in 2018? Does it keep this momentum up?
Well, obviously this is just from a consumer perspective, but looking at what Nintendo's doing by getting Zelda out, by getting Mario out, and you've got Mario Rabbids coming out this year. You've got, like you mentioned, they got the big dogs out there. Okay, so now you've got people that want to buy this thing just to have it because the Switch is doing well. There's a lot of positive buzz behind it, despite the voice chat system, which is still just an utter disaster. That being said, Zelda, great game. Mario Kart, great game. Splatoon, I think it's a great game. Mario Odyssey is going to be a great game. So here's Nintendo. They've got the demand. They've got their big hitters out there. I think what they're going to try to do is get through the holidays, make sure they get enough systems out there so when 2018 rolls around, dude, it's going to be impossible for third parties to ignore the system and the community that it's already built, the install base. I think they're going to try to say, hey, look, yes, it's underpowered. Hell, the Oceanhorn dev said that most mobile devices are already more powerful than the Switch. But when you have 10 million units out there, if they can hit that, it's going to be difficult for third parties. Some of the smaller ones who are making smaller titles, it's going to be very difficult for them to ignore the Switch. And by having all these big hitters out there, all the Marios and the Zeldas and whatnot, the system is going to sell. It's going to sell. Every time they push them out, they're going to sell. And third parties are going to eventually have to stop ignoring it.
I think the thing is, Brent, it's just that I don't think it's that third parties want to ignore the Switch. Obviously, they want to get their game on the machine. It's selling very well, but there's just some games that they just can't be on the Switch, right? Like Assassin's Creed Origins can't be on the Switch. Call of Duty World War II, it can't be on the Switch. Destiny 2 can't be on the Switch. So we're in a situation where.
But at the same time, not to cut you off, but that's Activision and EA. They have teams. They can make a Switch version of certain games. They can make a Call of Duty. It doesn't have to be Call of Duty World War II, but eventually Activision is going to look at that and be like, hey, look, we've got all these studios. One of these studios can put a Call of Duty on Nintendo Switch. I mean, they can dial back. I mean, obviously, if they can get Call of Duty on Vita, as shitty as it was, they can still get a Call of Duty on the Switch, and they'll make it happen if there's enough systems out there. Activision has a studio that can make a Switch version of that game or of a Call of Duty game.
Yeah, I mean, but they're going to have to make a completely different version of the game. They're going to have to dedicate a team to just make a Switch version of the game, and I don't know that they're going to see the sales from that because really, like we've talked about before, like the Call of Duty audience is not on Switch, right? So if they go through those painstaking details and they try and put a game out on the system and then it doesn't sell, it's like they just spent all that money and wasted all those resources for nothing. So I wonder if it's going to take somebody to just be so bold and go out there and make a Switch only third party game and see how it does. That's why when we were talking before about like WWE 2K17 and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, I wonder how important those games are going to be for the future of the Switch in the third party space. Like if those games come out and they don't sell at all and nobody buys them, once again, it's going to be a situation where third parties are looking in at the Nintendo ecosystem and be like, man, outside of like the first party games, we just cannot break in to the audience on the system, and I don't know what to do. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see those unless we get a really big success story from something like WWE 2K17 or one of these other games that goes on there and just sells gangbusters on the Switch. We and maybe Street Fighter's the case. Like we actually heard that Street Fighter 2 has done very well for the Switch so far. Ultra Street Fighter 2.
I think Skyrim's going to be another big litmus test for this system.
Could be that if those games come out and these games start hitting, then maybe we start to see that type of thought creep back into the space. So I think for the rest of this year and for those games that we talked about, it's going to be very important that they do well for Nintendo moving forward in order for them to get that third-party support. But I guess as we stand right now, I see the machine kind of as the realization of the vision of the Vita, right? Like they're getting all of these cool independent titles. They're coming out on the Switch. They've got a really healthy eco space in that respect, and then they're getting all of the blockbuster first-party games. So it's kind of what we wanted from the Vita, right? We wanted a game that housed all of the like Sony first-party titles, or these big like console experiences on the handheld, and then eventually we saw what was possible with the indie developers and within some of the games that they could put on that machine with stuff like Guacamelee and games like that we played on there. So in some ways, like the Switch is the Vita perfected, and And so it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays going forward. But I think, these third-party games like Skyrim, like WWE for the rest of the year are going to be very important for the future of third parties on that platform.
Mm-hmm. I agree. What do you think, Bender? How big are those titles to you? I mean, when you look at the Nintendo Switch, are you more focused on the first-party stuff, or are you curious to see how games like Skyrim would do, or do you want to see some of these third-party games, or are you perfectly content with just the Marios and the Zeldas and the Metroid down the line, the Pokemon down the line? Are those the games? Are you perfectly content with just those being the ones that sell the system and are the standout titles, or do you want to see that third party support?
I don't know. I do like the first party Nintendo stuff, and I like the idea of having a bunch of really cool indie games on there. I personally don't think we'll ever see a Call of Duty or an Assassin's Creed or any of those like big time AAA third party games on the Switch, unless they come out with like a last gen thing like the Skyrim thing, like something that would have run on a less powerful platform.
Modern Warfare Remastered making its way to the Switch.
I could say Assassin's Creed 2, the Switch version.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't see the EA or Activision spending money doing something like that, but I could see them, if the Switch gets popular enough, I could see them dedicating a team to developing something specifically for the Switch. You know, like Ubisoft does a lot of stuff like that. They're always supporting Nintendo making games like with the Mario plus Rabbids game. I could see them doing some sort of like smaller scale type of like an indie style game, but you know, obviously from a bigger publisher. Something like that could be cool, but honestly I would be just fine if it was just first party Nintendo stuff and indie stuff on the Switch, because I mean you can a lot of people who have a Switch also have an Xbox One or a PS4, and you can go to those systems for those bigger games, but I think the Switch was going to be really cool for other smaller stuff and the first party Nintendo stuff.
Imagine if Nintendo put out worked with Activision to kick out a Call of Duty with Nintendo characters. It's a Mario running around going, "Die, motherfucker!" and he's just launching grenades at like Peach and all those. That'd be hilarious. I'd play that. I think that'd be sweet.
Mario's using a gun in the Mario plus Rabbids game. We're halfway there.
There you go. Seriously. Instead of Captain Price, you got Captain Luigi. I mean, that'd be awesome. I'd play that. But no, the Nintendo Switch doing very, very well from a sales perspective, hardware-wise. You know, we mentioned, some of the first-party stuff. It's a ways out. Pokemon Switch, according to this Q1 report, not due until 2018 or later. And Metroid Prime 4 just simply has to be announced. TBA, even though we got a card at E3, they simply said to be announced. So we don't even know when Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. So that's a ways off. It's just they're going to have something in the middle there, and I think they're just trying to drive up as much sales as they can with Mario and Zelda, Mario Kart, Splatoon 2, and then Odyssey this fall to really try to lure in third parties and independent titles to kind of fill that gap between before Pokemon, Metroid Prime. But obviously, Boyce, you mentioned like some of the second tier Nintendo properties that will come in and help out as well.
Yeah, and another thing I was going to say also is, to Boyce's point about about what's the stuff we know is coming out, like the Yoshi and the Kirby and all that stuff. Nintendo is really good at surprising us as well. So there's probably going to be stuff that's going to come up that we have no idea that they're even working on. So they're going to have a direct at some point, and maybe we'll think, oh well, there's nothing coming out in this month or that month, and then they come out with a direct and they're like, oh well, here's this project we've been working on that you had no idea about. So that's something that's possible as well. So even though we know certain games that are coming out, I'm sure there's going to be other stuff that we don't know about yet.
And let me ask you this. So let's say best case scenario, Pokemon Switch comes out end of 2018, like November or something like that. So between Mario Odyssey in October and Pokemon in 2018, or in November of 2018, let's say the only other things that we see in terms of like big properties from Nintendo are like the Yoshis, are like the Kirby's, are the stuff that we already saw, the Fire Emblem Warriors, that kind of stuff. Do you think the fact that Mario and Zelda are already out and already on the platform, is that going to be enough to sustain the system if we don't see Pokemon until the end of 2018 or maybe even in 2019? Like, do you think that's something that they can sustain just by having those two guys already on there?
It's not going to hurt to have those on there. I mean, the more titles they come out with, the more robust the library is going to be, the more people are going to be enticed to buy it. If it's not just, oh, well, I have Mario and Zelda, but I also have all these other games that have come out, that I can try. And I don't think that's going to be all there is. I mean, I think, we know about the Kirby and the Yoshi, but I think there's going to be other things that come up that we don't even know about yet. So I don't think they're going to have to sustain it with just Zelda and Mario until 2018. I think there's going to be other things that pop up that we don't know about yet.
The elephant in the room here is the virtual console as well. So what's the plan for this thing? When does this come out? A lot of people that are buying the Switch are people that have been with Nintendo previously, or people that are returning back to the platform, or people that have a PS4 and Xbox and they're just looking to have a supplemental Nintendo device. So these people are excited at the prospects of having a virtual console on the system. So, and these are the same people that want to buy the system that can't find one right now. So they want to get the Zelda, they want to get the Mario game. And as soon as they can find one of those systems, like, they're going to go out and buy that. So, those same people are waiting for a virtual console. So if they're able to come out with the virtual console early in 2018, that just kind of sparks a whole new interest in the device, at least early in the year. And then maybe that can carry them for a little bit. But it's just we know gaming and really technology and just the world in general is the what have you done for me lately. Like, that's kind of the way things work. So I'm just curious to see, like, with Mario and Zelda already out, and they will have been out in 2017, like how 2018 goes for the platform, and if the demand stays strong, even in the absence of third parties, we would assume, but we don't know.
I hope you're right about the virtual console thing. That can really supplement the system in the absence of bigger titles. I think that would definitely get people to want to pick it up, and that'll kind of boost sales as well.
Yeah, I mean, we see how people are for the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic. Like, if they drop a stack of these at like your local Target, like, there's gonna be people in there like fist fighting each other, trying to get their hands on these things. So clearly, there's a rabid audience for Nintendo's older games and their older properties. So they're just sitting on like a cash cow for this thing whenever they can get it out onto the platform.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Well, that's gonna do it for this week's show. That's it for the news. Let's close it out, fellas. Boyce, where can we find you gaming and tweeting?
As always, Brent, I'll be not tweeting at Piccolo930. It's my PSN ID as well. That's where you can find me on the Nintendo Switch. Friendly reminder, the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight is every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, on our YouTube channel. Short Pause Gaming on YouTube. Check it out. We'll be on there. We'll be streaming something this Tuesday. I don't know yet, but hop on in there, jump in the comments, play through a game, see what it's all about. We'll have some fun.
Mr. Holt.
You can follow me on Twitter at Bender_guitar. I'm on PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network at me_Bender, and Xbox Live at meBender82.
Thank you, sir. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, Xbox Live, TheRealDude79, and PlayStation Network, Nintendo Network, TheDude79. Make sure you visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at TheShortPause. As Ben mentioned, follow us on YouTube, Short Pause Gaming, same as on Twitch, Short Pause Gaming, and Mixer, Short Pause Gaming. You can find this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Play. If you enjoy this podcast, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write a nice review. That helps our show get exposure. It gets us out there. Gets us out there more for more listeners. We do appreciate those 5-star reviews. If you're not quite ready to give us a 5-star review, that's fine. We don't want any fake ones. Come over to the website, come right into the comments section of this podcast, and sound off. We read all those comments. If you got some nasty stuff to say and you don't want to put it in the comments, that's fine. Email us, podcast@shortpause.com. That's the only way this show is going to get better, is if we hear from you. We need to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We want to make this show the best show we can. For Mr. Holt and Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thanks again for tuning into the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.